Should be, yeah.
Hey, folks, welcome to another episode of Emergency Exit Podcast. We're going to get started here in exactly 1 minute. Be sure to like, share, subscribe. We're going to be on the air, Channel 10, if you're watching at home. Bust on Channel 10 if you've got that kind of technology. Unless you know, boomers usually do. Let's see. I got to turn down this and make sure that that doesn't come out. Blah, blah, blah. How are you guys doing out there? I hope you're okay. I took a COVID test yesterday. They nose draped me. It sucked so bad. It hurt like the whole day, pretty much, my nose.
Did they break your virginity? Your nose virginity?
I got Cosby'd in the nose.
Your nasal virginity?
My nasal virginity. Like, you know, sometimes I'll like put my glasses up in my nose to help me sneeze.
Mm-hmm.
But dude, it was like everybody does
Everybody
it.
does
I do that.
But dude, I shoved it way up in there and it fucking it hurts so bad, man. What's going on here? We're frozen on Facebook.
10
Maybe
seconds.
that's me. Okay, here we go.
Gotta roll with it.
7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2. On today's program, as we experience civil unrest all over the country, are we really mad about racism or are we mad at police violence? Plus, we're going to talk to a retired cop to find out what defunding the police really means for the future of America. That's right. This is Emergency Exit. Brah, brah, brah. All right. This is episode 159. Today is June 10th, 2020. It is again 10 on 10 in our floating tin can far above the world. That's right. We're going to be joined in a little bit by Dennis Farris, a retired APD cop. But first, I've got a very special brew world order we should do. So let's go ahead and do the brew world. That's right. All right, I've got a special beer here in this. It's a homemade beer made by a friend named Kevin Clark. He doesn't have any websites, but he's been making beer for as long as I've known him, maybe longer. And he said, hey, would you want to rate one of my beers on your prestigious program?
Yeah, I hear we have a line of brewers out there wanting to get on the show, guys. Send the email and all that kind of stuff. I mean, but we made a special occasion for Kevin here.
That's right. So let's go ahead and pour it, everybody, a glass here.
Ooh, that's a gorgeous color.
Here you go and pass it around. All right, this is called In Bloom, just like the Nirvana song. This is a cream ale with sweet orange peel, coriander, orange blossom petals, orange blossom honey, Madagascar vanilla beans. With an ABV of 4.5, this is sure to make you go yum yum. He didn't write that last part. I thought I'd add it in there.
I think this smells amazing.
Does it smell good?
It smells delicious.
It does smell great.
You know what? I can't judge it off of the. But the smell is amazing.
I tell you, if I opened that up too quickly, it would have made a very big. All right, so down the hatch. Man, this is great.
Oh.
Wow,
this is delicious.
I'm a bit speechless because it's really good. It tastes wonderful. What can we say about this?
It's like a creamsicle beer.
Yeah.
If an orange creamsicle became a beer, like a hoppy beer, this is what it would be. It is amazing. I could drink this like all day.
This isn't the first beer I've had from him. He made a milk stout that was really good. I've been trying to get him to make an amber beer.
Oh, I love ambers.
He's killing it, man.
Yeah, this is amazing.
Let's go ahead and go around the table here. Brandon, what do you think about this beer?
Man, that flavor, it's really good. I kind of feel like you just have to sip on it.
Yeah.
You know, you can't chug it back too quick. Just take some sips on it. God, it's fucking good, man.
It's delicious.
I think it's really awesome that
is a beer.
this man
that sums it up.
created a beer that's this delicious, right? It's really
So
impressive of the guy. And, you know, he keeps asking me to, or not asking me, but like offering, hey, come on down and see how the fudge is packed, in a way.
We should do an on the field with them.
Maybe, I asked him, if I was to start brewing tomorrow, what would it cost to get started? And he's like, about $200. And I thought this would be a good idea. And I don't even want to, actually, I'm not even going to tell about my idea because it's too good of an idea that I don't want to give it out for free. But it's about making videos though. So, Brandon, what is your rating for this bad boy?
I'm going to give it a 4.5. That's right.
4.5. That's right.
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Honestly, I love everything about this. I will give this a 4.8. That's right. Oh. And the only reason it wasn't a 5 was because of the snap test. That is it.
He lost 0.2 points.
That was it. But
so he's got to start canning.
Other than that, this is an amazing beer. I love this.
Yeah, this is really good. Drinkability is really high. Yep. Taste is really high. It's got a bit of a bitter after finish, which isn't bad at all. Matter of fact, he's watching right now, so this one goes out to you, buddy. I'm going to rate this beer a solid 4.95. Bing, 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 bing. Thanks, Kevin, for letting us try your beer, man, and we hope to try some more. This is actually the second homemade beer that we've had on the show. Both guys were named Kevin, by the way. So we only drink Kevin's homemade brew here.
We love Kevin.
Well, that's another Brew World Order, my man.
It's the Brew World. I feel like this. The way to describe this is a brisk summer morning and being hit with like rose petals and like by a strong breeze.
You're getting hit by orange blossom petals.
Orange blossom petals in a cold breeze in the morning in Austin by the lake. You're wearing short shorts, no shirt, and a headband.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I forgot to introduce us as I was getting a little excited there. But welcome to another episode of Emergency Exit Podcast. I'm Los. I'm on Twitter at That's Right Los. Joining me again, and as always, is David, the holy Hispanic.
I feel like I need
Aguilar.
like wind chimes.
I used to have a wind chime sound. And then, of course, making sure that we're streaming live, that we won't mess up the audio at all, is Brandon the Hard Hat Mitchell. That's right.
Hey, no promises on that.
No.
We were watching, if you guys are watching us on Channel 10, we're on just about every night lately at 10 o'clock, which is really cool. So catch the old reruns on Channel 10 at 10 if we're going to be on. I don't know. I just don't know. It's a grab bag. They just throw us in the rotation and we're in. Last night, I got to watch the episode of us talking to Brian Govatos.
Hey, Govatos!
Or if you were reading what his name was, Brain Govatos.
That still hurts me. I couldn't watch it because of that.
Or if you don't know Spanish, Brian, go guys.
Go guys.
Go guys. So there you go.
What does Brian mean in Spanish? Brian.
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 Brian. ¿Qué haces, Brian? By the way, we need to have him back. I love that guy, man.
He was really cool.
He was such a cool dude.
Did you tell him that the episode was airing and he was able to watch it like on Austin Public website?
I told him where we are, where he can find us.
Okay, great. Take it easy. All right. Jeez,
yeah, he got kind of hostile right
there. You want to try to get Dennis on the line here? Is he
10-10?
Oh, 10. Okay, we got a few minutes to kill here. I want to try to call my dad. It's his birthday today.
No way.
We don't have time for that.
We don't have time to do that before, but we'll get to it, I guess, somewhere in the...
How young is he turning?
Well, last year he said he turned 60, so
nice.
I think this year he's going to be 59 or something.
Sweet, yeah.
I think that's how that works. But yeah, last year... Exactly a year ago, we called him on his birthday out of nowhere. We were going to call him, and it was funny. We called Jimmy's parents, too, because it was their anniversary, like the day before or something. And we had the nice soothing music, and we left a funny message. It was really cool. And then I called my dad, and he didn't answer at first. And then we called him again because that's just how we work. If you call us, we don't recognize the number. We'll hang up on it.
Yep.
And then you call again, we will probably answer it because it may be somebody you know. The cops, hey, excuse me. And then we said, hey, you won $10 or some shit like that. Hey, just if you know the phrase that pays, go ahead and say it. So if you guys want to give us a ring later, I guess we don't have the ring because we're going to be using the phone's going to be tied up talking to Dennis Farris.
But you can comment
actually,
on Facebook.
Yeah, it's coming in a different way. But yeah, nobody calls. It'll get confusing at that point, I think. Maybe
we
can try it, though.
Yeah, if you guys want to talk to a cop of 30 years, retired, by the way. So he hasn't been retired for 30 years. He's just been a cop for 30 years, and now he's retired. We're going to talk about defunding the police. I hear that a lot. Abolition of the police. Yeah. What else do they say? Dismantle, defund, abolish.
Yeah,
these all are one and the same in the leftist handbook these days because language is completely different and doesn't mean a thing to these folk.
When it's stupid that...
Or it means everything but means nothing at the same time.
Well, the stupid thing is they're going off of everything you grew up as a child not to do, right? They always tell you don't throw the baby out with the bath water, right? Like just because there's one bad person in the bunch, don't throw the whole bunch out. That's literally what they're doing with the police. It's like, oh, there's one bad cop, get rid of the whole thing.
There's a lot of bad cops, and we're seeing videos of them being just absolutely brutal to protesters. I mean, for instance, the one old man that was standing in the police line, and they came up, and the police knocked him over, and the guy cracked his skull open. And they just kept walking by or whatever. Like that
was messed up,
dude. It's I'm seeing a lot of that happening. And are we seeing more rioters or are we seeing more bad cops? I mean, they're one and the same in my eyes. The rioters, looters are the bad cops, and I hate them both.
Yeah, exactly. There's no difference. They're just bad people doing bad things.
Yeah,
and that's where it's like, yeah, if you define it that way, then we're both on the same page. We got to get rid of them.
And what exactly does like dismantling or defunding the police? Do you want that out there? What does that mean to you? What does that mean for the rule of law? Does that mean I get to just carry my gun out wherever I want and
exactly? Yeah, and that's what
pull that sucker out
the thing that
and
I'm asking
flash
people.
it at
It's
people?
like, okay, so does defund the police mean I get to keep my guns, or do you also want to take them away from me?
I'm absolutely for reforming the police.
100%.
I'm so sick of. I've been treated unfairly by cops in the past. I've been handcuffed to a bench when I was completely unnecessary. I was driving into Texas, my first experience into Texas.
Oh, wow.
We get to El Paso. My whole life's in the back of a truck. And the drug sniffing dog started barking at my car, at my truck. And they pulled me out and they asked, where's the weed and whatnot? And I said, well, I don't have any, I have a little bit of weed, but my whole life was back there. So it probably did smell like fucking pot, right?
Yeah.
And they handcuffed me into a bench when my stuff's way out there. I'm like, is this? I asked them, I'm like, excuse me, and I'm always pretty respectful to the cops. And I said, are the handcuffs necessary, officers? And they was like, yes, they are. And I'm like, I'm not. You have my keys, first of all, and I'm not going anywhere. I mean, they don't know if I'm not going anywhere, but they have my keys.
Yeah.
It would be an idiot move for me to try to get up and run to my car when I don't have my own keys.
Or just run in general.
Yeah, where am I going to go? It's El freaking Paso, the border. I'm going to run down to Mexico, and maybe it's because my name was Carlos. It also gave them a little bit of extra, like we got to make sure this guy is not an illegal or anything.
Yeah.
And maybe the California ID threw them off because there's a lot of us out there.
Yep.
A lot of Carloses out there in California.
You never know which one's which.
That's right. I've been treated unfairly by cops, but
see, and so have I. But the thing is, I've been treated unfairly more by Mexican cops than I ever have by white cops. So for me, it's like, I don't. Again, I just see them as there's bad cops. I don't see it as the white cops are the bad ones and the brown ones are the good ones. I see them as there's bad ones and there's good ones. Sometimes the bad ones are white, brown,
yeah,
black.
but how do we want the bad ones there? And
no, not at all.
I have some questions to ask about what they do, what police departments do when there are complaints levied against them, and who polices the police. I've got some questions to ask, and if you guys have questions you want to ask this retired cop who's been on the force for 30 years, maybe throw in some questions into the chat there if you guys want. Are we still not seeing him up there yet? Not yet. All right, we'll just keep chatting it up, and we'll figure out what's going on in the meantime.
Let's see if I can get him.
All right.
And like I said, especially myself, right? Like, I come from a family that has had people go and fight in the army, right? With the military. My little brother is going to be a cop. I have family members who aren't cops. So I really don't think this is even America's chant. I don't think America is behind this. I don't know who is. I like the people I speak with, and I talk to them about defunding the police. They're like, no, that's stupid. Why would we do that? Like, who else would come and protect us?
Well, right now that's the BLM stance, and I'm for total reform, man. I don't know what that actually means, but I'm absolutely down to try to find out who, like, if you have, like, the cops should be held to a very high standard. Like, matter of fact, there's such a high standard that when I applied to be a cop, which was pretty recently, within at least 6 months,
Wow.
I went on a ride along and I applied. And they said, no, you can't because you admitted to doing a bunch of drugs in the past. I'm like, yeah, I did, but I don't now. Like,
Yeah.
what does that matter? Like, would you rather have a cop that is so that's so clean cut, that hasn't had any experience with actual drugs and enforcing drug policy? Or would you want someone that's been there that can sympathize with somebody that's smoking pot,
Exactly.
doing acid or something?
And
No.
you're honest about it. You want someone who lied on a test to get a job?
Well,
or-
they also said there's a polygraph test, so I wasn't
Oh,
about to
shit,
like
yeah.
lie about all that shit, you know. But
Well,
they
you
said
know-
it's like pretty recently you said that stuff, and pretty recently, like recent within a couple of years that I
Do
did.
they go
Like,
through their social media and all that shit?
I would assume they do, but they have to find it first, motherfuckers.
That's very true.
But that's what I'm saying. They should be held to a very high standard, which I thought they did because I couldn't get in. That's pretty high standard if I can't get in. But
Same. I've never been in trouble.
I've never been in trouble. Matter of fact, when I was on that ride along, I had the cop click in my name, and I do have like a warrant for my arrest, but it's like for like a ticket I got in an old truck that I didn't pay, like a registration ticket or whatever. And he's like, yeah, don't worry, just call them up and say this and that. Maybe they'll like get rid of it for
And
you.
they're
But-
like, well, shit, we already got you, so.
yeah, I mean, yeah, he did say, he's like, all right, we got to take you in, man. He joked about it, right? It was pretty funny. But like I said, they got to be held to a high standard, to a point where if there's any sort of complaints, it needs to be investigated very seriously and thoroughly. And there's the problem. When they're like Mike Brown or Trayvon Martin, when these killings happen and the cops are acquitted, or in George Zimmerman's case, a jury of peers found him not to be guilty, they're still running with that narrative that, oh, hands up, don't shoot. And even Obama's administration said Mike Brown was fighting with the cops.
Yeah.
Now, did he deserve to die?
No.
No,
No.
of course not. But there are things that cops need to do. I was just watching, there was a video I think that you sent me, Brandon. Maybe not, but it was a white guy in Chicago, the train station in Chicago, the subway, and they were wrestling him. And they shot the guy.
What?
Yeah, they shot. It was a white guy, by the way. So it's 2 black cops and a white guy. I mean, of course, you didn't hear about it. The guy got shot. But what was my point here is that, whatever. I'm getting so sidetracked with all the things we were going to talk about.
And the other thing is
Go ahead.
also with
Jesus.
with even what's going on right now with the Black Lives Matter. Like, there's already been 2 or 3 that I've heard of. 2 or 3 black cops who have been killed because of protesting, rioting, and looting.
Yes.
And you're not seeing any of that. You're right. They're not.
Well,
getting,
maybe we're not seeing
Yeah.
it because we watch a lot of right-leaning publications and narratives, but we do see it because of that. But
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. We see that because we see that side, but you're not going to see CNN and MSNBC putting that. Maybe
No.
maybe 3
they
months
do
down the road.
Maybe they
saying,
do a
"Oh,
little bit of maybe they make one little article and they go,
Exactly.
hey, yeah, we'd say that. But we week after week, back in the day, not even that far back, but I would show all the instances of when Fox News would show a video or share an article when a man is wearing a MAGA hat and getting beat up brutally. And I remember we were just watching a little bit of episode 115 where, although that Jimmy says that the red hat isn't the new Klan's hood, but if you did get beat up wearing it, you know what you are doing by wearing that.
Yeah, like the other day, I went to a coffee shop here in Austin, and we have to wear the stupid masks still in some of them. So the only one I had in my car said Trump 2020 on it, and I wore it, not really thinking much of it until the cashier kind of gave me like a glance. And like the nice person in me immediately wanted to apologize. Like I wanted to say, I'm sorry, it was the only one I had in my car. You know what I mean?
It's my brother's.
Yeah, but then in my head,
It's my wife's.
I thought to myself,
She's such a racist.
why am I going to apologize? Like, what am I apologizing for? Supporting like a president Like, you guys support Obama, like other people support Bush. Like, what is so wrong about?
Well,
being
imagine
vocal
how
about
they
that?
would feel, like those Obamas wearing an Obama mask in red state Arkansas or something. I don't even know if Arkansas is
and that's
red
what I'm
or not.
saying. It's like again, it isn't even racism that's really the problem. It's how we always want to pin one side against the other, right? If it isn't black against white, it's Democrat against Republican. It's this against that, right? It's green bubble versus blue bubble, right? And it's always going to be that way because that's the way we are as humans. We always want to say we're better or superior than this other person for these reasons.
And you make a good point because it's people don't want any gray. Hello, Dennis. Hello, Dennis.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah. Hey,
Oh,
Dennis
yeah.
is on the
Sorry, man.
line. This is Dennis Farris. He's a retired APD cop, serving 30 years on the Austin Police Department. Amazing. And he's also on the board of directors from the Austin Police Retired Officers Association. That is one hell of a business card. How are you doing, Dennis? Thanks for joining us.
I'm doing great. For some, guys, I apologize. For some reason, I couldn't get. You sent me the link, and I got it. I got all in the Hangout, and it says I'm the only one here. And when I hit join Hangout, it says I'm the only one here. So my apologies. I'd love to be able for y'all to see me and be able to talk to you that way, but for some reason it's not working, and I don't know. Maybe the technology's just got me. I don't know.
Or maybe you're being suppressed because you've got some truth to tell us.
You know what? That is always true.
Well, thank you for
So, I don't
joining
know.
us.
I mean,
Can you
I
turn them up a bit?
try that link you sent me. I can try it again if you want. It's up to y'all.
Well, yeah, we would love to meet you face to face, whatever that means in the time of the COVID.
Oh, you know what? This time it says it still says I'm the only one here. So
Only one.
and that's that link you sent me. Yeah, it's that link you sent me in the email, and I apologize, but it says the only one here invite people.
Okay.
I don't know who to invite.
Did you pay the Streamlab?
Ask him to close out of it, and I'm gonna email him.
He's gonna email you. Go ahead and hang up real quick, and we're gonna. Oh, don't hang up on here. Why don't you get on the mic and tell him
I'll
that?
hang up on the meeting.
Hang up on the meeting. There you go. Yeah, we want to talk to you face to face, Dennis, and we want to, or officer.
Yeah, cool.
I want to be respectful.
No, I want to.
Yeah, no worries. I want
to feel.
and
Like
I
I'm
had
being,
to,
I want to feel like I'm being in
bad as
charge.
I am. I couldn't remember my password for my Google
It
account.
should be-
And change it, which is
Did you try
probably not
password?
a bad thing.
It should be calling you right now.
Okay, let me go back to here. Let me see.
Yeah, we are live on the air, but that's cool. We're willing to deal.
Yeah, it's
Dill pickle.
it
We're willing to
doesn't.
dill pickle, man.
It's not.
Damn right.
Are you trying? Now, do you call me through my email address or what?
Yes. It sounds like we're trying to through your email address. Yes.
So I'm not working.
That's okay. Well, we're gonna keep trying, and we're gonna get you on here, buddy. We're gonna do this. It's gonna be great, and we'll give it one more good shot, one more college try, and then we'll just continue on
It's
with.
almost like Moby Dick. You gotta get the
Yeah,
whale.
no worries. I don't know. Maybe if you can send me the link again, maybe I can, or another link, maybe in an email, I can get in that way.
Okay, we'll send you another link. All right, but let's see. What can we ask you in the meantime? Well, I really want to wait till we have some video.
Yeah, no worries. And like I said, I know y'all are limited in your time, but I'm not.
Where in Austin
Only thing I have to do
did you mostly patrol? Were you in Charlie? Were you in Henry?
Northeast. No, I
Northeast.
was in Edward I was in Edward, and then when they created Ida, which is North Central, I moved over there. Which back then Ida isn't where it's at now. It was more. They took the worst parts of Edward and Adam and created a sector right in the middle, and that's where I was. And then so I worked basically the Runberg 35 area my entire 15 years on patrol. Here we go.
Wow.
This guy. Let's try this.
Yeah, he
again.
said they have different areas, the divisions of where they patrol. And when I went on ride along, I was in Charlie. I was at the Charlie division or area, which is more.
Area. Oh, hey. Tell me.
Oh.
I'm gonna hang up.
So
I'm gonna hang up this phone. So I'm gonna hang up this one.
I'm gonna hang this one and go with it.
All right.
Go with this one. How's that?
That's what I'm talking.
Man,
Look at those
that's
medals
a hell of a
back there.
background right there. Jeez.
All right, can we get his volume up on?
I love me wall.
Oh, that sounds
Yeah.
way better. So welcome,
and I got
officer.
some really cool pictures here. So this one I'm really proud of. I don't know whether you can see it or not. I'll swing it around here. This one I'm pretty proud of right here. So the one picture I wanted to get, and I don't know whether you can see it or not. But that's George W.
That's
Bush.
W.
That's W right
Yeah,
there.
that's W. I got to actually. So my last duty assignment was executive protection. So I was on Mayor Leffingwell's detail, and I pretty much coordinated all the presidential visits.
Wow.
So that's kind of. So we had all the living presidents in Austin in 3 days in 2014, with the exception of H.W. Bush. So we've got them all in and out of town in 3 days, which was a pretty impressive feat in itself.
You mean you ruined everyone's day for a whole day just for that?
Well, I'm going to tell you something. It's funny. Everybody loves the president of their party until the president of their party blocks traffic.
Yep, that's very
They
true.
don't like you.
That's funny.
So,
Well, welcome for joining us. Thank you for
You're
joining
welcome.
us. Let's see. Well, once again, this is Dennis Farris. He was on the Austin Police Department for 30 years, now retired.
well, 25. I spent 5 at the university prior to that. This one, that university, prior to that. So I was at UTPD for 5 years, and then I spent 25 at APD.
Dang.
Wonderful. Yeah, he's got 30
That's so
years
cool.
as a cop. And we had some questions about what's going on in the world today, especially when it comes to police departments. So let's just get straight to it. So some would call this, some are calling for abolition, others say dismantle, but it's all under the umbrella term defund. What does defunding the Austin Police Department or police in general actually mean?
All right. Well, if you take it by the strictest thing that they're talking about taking a quarter of, my understanding is the mayor pro tem and some of the activist groups are asking for $100 million of the $434 million budget of the Austin Police Department. So let me put that into context for you. Of that $434 million, 95% of it goes to salaries, and that's not just the officers, that's the civilians also. So that's your custodians that clean the building. Those are the people that the admins that work for the various commands. That is the people at the Office of Community Liaison that do Operation Blue Santa. That is the people that handle the timesheets for the officers. That's anything you can imagine on an administrative level. Those are the civilians, plus the people that run the crime lab, the people that run the, and we do have a small crime lab, even though the DNA lab's not open. That's also the people that handle the evidence. So if you're, say your bike was stolen and we recovered it and it was in the evidence room, you'd have to go to the evidence room and get it. There's a civilian there, not a police officer. So they're literally, if you took a quarter of the police department's budget away, you would, in $100 million, you would take roughly 600 positions, and that would be sworn police officers and civilians. You would probably lose half of the civilians and probably roughly 350 or 400 cops.
What does that mean for the rule of law then?
It means that the only thing the Austin Police Department would do was patrol. It means you wouldn't have a gang unit, you wouldn't have a narcotics unit, you wouldn't have a vice unit, you wouldn't have a vice. Yeah, well, no, they don't have a vice. You wouldn't have a human trafficking unit.
Boom.
You wouldn't have an interdiction unit. So the drugs that are going going north, and the money that's going south that's being stopped wouldn't happen. You wouldn't have a lake patrol. You wouldn't have motors. You wouldn't have mounted patrol on 6th Street. You wouldn't have a DWI enforcement team, that's a huge problem in Austin.
Yep.
You probably wouldn't have a commercial highway enforcement. So the trucks that are running north and south on the interstate that are falling apart, there wouldn't be anybody to stop them. So think about it. The only thing you would have would be patrol and investigations. And that is bare bone policing. And there is no way in the world you can have bare bone policing in this city and not expect the crime rate to skyrocket.
Yep.
Yeah, I would think that, well, the crime rate would go up, but the arrest would go down. I think that's what they're kind of going for, right?
That is their goal. Their goal literally is for us, or I say us, and when I say that, I qualify that in. It's hard not to be involved with this. You spend your entire adult life doing something. And I also have a little extra incentive there. My son's a police officer in Austin, so he's out there. So when I say us, plus my brothers and sisters in blue, and so my best friend's an Austin police officer, obviously, and things like that. So they literally don't want anybody being held for anything that they do. They really truly believe that the Austin Police Department is targeting minorities. They have a racial study. They have a racial profiling study that comes out every year, and it shows certain things like the stops that are made on what ethnicities, what races, things like that. Well, what it shows is that the Austin Police Department supposedly is stopping a disproportionate amount of African Americans and Hispanics. Now, Austin has a very small African American population. It's roughly about 6 or 7%. All right, so but what that study doesn't take into effect is it doesn't take into effect that not everybody that's stopped by the Austin Police Department lives in Austin.
Mm-hmm.
So it does separate it by red and orange and everybody and their brothers out.
Yep.
And that's who all gets stopped. Plus, you have the major north-south thoroughfare through the United States running right smack dab down the middle of Austin. So it's not just Austinites that are being stopped by the Austin Police Department, but they're only comparing the stops to the Austin demographics, and that's comparing apples and oranges. And I think if they were to weed it out, I think you would see a completely different thing. But it just simply is, you have a couple of different groups, and one of them's spearheaded by a gentleman by the name of Chaz Moore, very vocal, and another gentleman by the name of Chris Harris. They're both Chris is a little more of an abolitionist than Chaz is. Chaz just wants the money. I think Chaz is a huckster. He's out there raising a whole lot of money right now. Chris just simply hates the police, period, end of story. They put him on the Public Safety Commission, which makes no sense to me whatsoever. And literally they hate the cops. And they've convinced this council to hate the cops too. And you already have one guy on the council. His name's Greg Kassar. He is a committed socialist. He's part of the DSA, the Democratic Socialists of America. Mm-hmm. The guy is the worst thing to ever happen to Austin, and backing him up is the guy that sits in the middle of the dais. I don't call him mayor because as far as I'm concerned, he hasn't earned that right. My mayor is Lee Leffingwell. He knew how to run the city. He knew how to take charge. And what you've got now, I really do believe you have a bunch of people who are simply scared to be called names by people who are bullies.
Well, yeah, speaking of which, you had posted something on your Twitter. 12 chairs were placed outside APD headquarters intended for city council members to attend protests. They remained empty. Now, is it because they're going to be asked about things like defunding the police, and if they don't have the right answer, they don't kowtow to the mob, that's going to cost them maybe their seats, and they're worried?
This whole thing with defunding APD didn't really kick off until like Friday of last week.
Yep.
I mean, that's how quick. I mean, I think it's been boiling under the surface. Look, here's the deal. There's no question they want these activists want the money from the police department. What they think is that if we go out and just start being nice, if you go out and just start giving all these social services to people, that they're just simply not going to commit. Crimes aren't going to get committed. Well, that's simply not true. It's got to be a combination of the two, right? And maybe, and I heard today, maybe in a generation, if we do these things in conjunction with each other, that maybe in a generation you can start lowering the need for police, right? You know what I compare Austin's about to be? You ever see the movie Demolition Man with Sylvester Stallone? Yeah. You
Wesley
remember
Snipes?
that line that Rob Schneider's got? We're the police. We're not trained to handle violence.
Yeah.
And when Wesley Snipes starts blowing stuff up, he goes, "We're the police. We're not trained to handle violence." That's what they want.
Yes. Thank you for saying that.
Thank you for
saying that. Because the thing is, and even what you said earlier, like, and I told you guys about this, like, since COVID, I have seen my Amber Alert go off like crazy every single week with missing kids.
Like daily.
Yeah, and that's what, like me and my wife get it. And the thing is, when you said, "Oh, defunding means, the human trafficking and the drugs," that's all you had to say to me. Because again, I come from Brownsville, Texas, right? That's a border town. That is drugs all day long, human trafficking all day long. So the conversations I have heard or have had people say has to do everything with human trafficking and drugs. So it's no coincidence that they want to defund it and take those two main things out. Because again, and I think, not to sound like a crazy person, but there is an agenda going on with this whole defund the police, and
there is an agenda, and it's crazy to think that Austin, Texas, is talking about pulling $100 million from their police department, and the city of Houston just passed an increase for their police department and guaranteed their next 5 cadet classes. San Diego is doing the same thing, and what's the difference? You have a mayor in Houston who's strong enough to stand up and say, we're not taking this stuff.
Yeah.
You've got a mayor in San Diego that's doing that. What do you have in Austin? You have a guy who has been afraid to come out of his condo at the W for 12 weeks.
The W.
I just learned he lives there last week when we talked to Mackenzie.
Let me clarify
on
something.
our dime.
I got accused of doxing him last week at the press conference when I said he needs to come out of the W. Somebody said, man, you just told everybody where the mayor lives. The mayor has told everybody where he lives. It's part of his political package. He has to tell you where he lives. One of his opponents in 2016 that ran against him and said he's out of touch. He lives in the W. So I didn't dox Mr. Adler. I didn't dox anybody. I've had a couple of people try to dox me, but I'm a little smarter than they are. I kind of hide where I'm at. But I will tell you, and I'll forewarn anybody who thinks that they're going to come try to find me and do something to me, it won't end peacefully.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So weird. I got sort of doxed by a leftist hate group out here, and what does that mean for people? You're gonna tell people where I live? Like what? That's terrorist talk right there. You're going to tell people where I live, and people are going to come to my house and do what exactly?
Well, I tell you what's happened. What was happening last week for a little while? They were actually going up to officers and snapping their name tags, and then looking them up and finding out where they lived, and they were scaring the hell out of their families. People think, well, it's fair game. You're going to go out here. It's fair game. Your family's a fair game. Our family's a fair game. Look, I said this in that press conference the other day. I said, I don't care who you are, a parent or otherwise. And this really hit home for me because I was watching all this and I saw my son on television and I'm seeing the rocks and the bottles and stuff thrown at him. Right. And look, my kid's 30, almost 31 years old. He's much smarter. He's much smarter than I am. And he's a much better policeman. At 2 years, he's a much better policeman than I was at 2 years. And I have no doubt in my mind he's going to do great things. Right. I don't want anybody to ever interpret what I said, meaning I think that my son's life's worth more than anybody else's. Okay. Mm-hmm. It's not. I understand the fear people have when they send their children out into the public and they think something could happen to them at the hands of the police department. The bottom line is it doesn't happen here. It really doesn't. There's this huge false narrative that the Austin Police Department is just slaughtering innocent people for no reason. I have a 22-year-old kid that I was going at it on Twitter all day yesterday and all day today. And I violated my rule number 1. And my rule number 1 is don't ever talk to, look at, or engage the crazy people. It never turns out well. Right. Mm-hmm. And that should be everybody's rule number 1.
Yep.
Oh, and we need to stop with Rob then.
And the funny thing about it is I finally just called him out. I said, you don't like me and you're biased towards me because of your perception of my skin color. Mm. I'm an Italian American, second generation Italian American. Farris isn't Italian, but trust me, my grandfather came over through Ellis Island. He fought for the Italians in the First World War. I can get dual Italian citizenship. I'm working towards it. I'm an Italian American. When I said that to him, he says, you just called me racist. I said, no, I said you were biased. No one ever said you were racist. Now you're putting words in my mouth. So finally, I just cut the kid off. I was like, I'm done. I violated rule 1. I knew better. I try not to get into really, for lack of a word, I guess I could say that. I try not to get in pissing contests with people. Mm-hmm. And you'll never hear me call somebody a name when I'm mad at them, because I think you lower yourself when you do that. And that's one of those things that I wish the president wouldn't do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I really do when he tweets. I wish he wouldn't call people names. But I understand he's from New York, and that's just the way they do. I mean, they whack you at the knees in New York, right? So, but anyway, going back to the whole thing. So there is an agenda, and it is an agenda of lawlessness. Yes. Really, They don't. They want to be able. Look, and here's the deal. You're in your house as long as you're not killing somebody, raping somebody, beating an animal, beating your wife, beating your kids, watching child porn. You know, I don't care. I don't care. Do what you want in your house. You want to smoke dope in your house? Go smoke dope. I don't care. Look, people, hey, I got a call of a dope smell in the house. Okay. Hey, close your windows.
Yeah.
Walk away, right? It's not my business. But the second you step out of that house onto the front yard and into the street, now you become my business.
Yep.
Okay. Now you're endangering other people's. As long as you're in your house and the only person you're endangering is yourself, have at it. I don't care. That's, and maybe that's a little bit of a libertarian thought process.
Yep.
Right.
We're all about
all about
here.
that.
Look, I don't care. Now I do care about walking down the streets in Austin and smelling dope burning.
Yeah.
It stinks, and I'm allergic to it. It stinks, and I shouldn't, if somebody can't smoke a cigarette out in public.
Yeah.
In Austin,
or
vape. Be able to openly smoke marijuana out in public.
Come on, you're allergic to it? Come on.
I'm allergic to smoke.
Smoke.
Period. Smoke. Period.
Okay.
It causes problems with my eyes, and it causes that's why I don't smoke. I don't even smoke cigars. Smoke bothers my eyes, and it stops up my head. So, but look, if you want to smoke dope, that's fine, but you shouldn't have to infringe on other people at the same time. It's all about infringing on people's rights. I have the right not to smell it. You have the right to smoke it if you want. That's cool, whatever. I have the right not to smell it.
Speaking of infringing on rights, how are you feeling about, first of all, we had the lockdown protests in a lot of states and counties and such, how people were treated about that, especially coming from the media, and how people were saying this isn't safe. And you're sort of giving us that impression that you may be for a lockdown, or at least because you don't want to put anyone else's health at risk. It's just like you don't want someone smoking pot and leaving their house or something. What about wearing masks?
I don't want, so don't get me wrong. You want to sit on your front porch and smoke dope, that's fine. What I'm talking about is now bringing it into the public area where it's affecting everybody.
Sure.
So does that make sense?
Yes.
I look, again, like I said, marijuana to me, I never chose people for dope. I was just with the dope. I didn't chase people for dope. It really, to me, it infringes on people's rights a little bit. You have the right. It's a fine balance. Does that make sense?
Yes, absolutely.
So, it's one of those things where I just simply think there's better places to smoke it if you want to smoke it,
Yeah, absolutely. But how do you feel about the masks lockdown compared to how people now are gathering for protests today and how they were treated?
I will tell you that, when I went into public, I wore a mask not so much for myself as to keep people at ease.
Same.
Okay. It's keep people. If it made somebody happy to see me walk into the store with a mask on, I'd be more than happy to do it. I don't like confrontation. Nobody likes confrontation. Well, I guess some crazy people do, but why get into a confrontation with somebody? They said, look, can you just wear a mask? I wore the mask in public because because I just didn't want to infringe on somebody. I didn't want to make somebody else feel uncomfortable or whatever. To me, the masks are scary because you can't see facial expressions, and facial expressions will telegraph what that person's going to do next. Yep. Right. So you can't see, like you can see my mouth. If I cover my mouth up right now, you have no idea what I'm doing. You can't read my lips. You can't tell my face. My eyes show a little bit, but your face really shows a lot of expression. I think they were very impersonal, but I understand it made people feel a little bit better. And if it eased their concerns, because I think it was COVID, 24/7, 7 days a week, bam, bam, bam. All of a sudden the protests happened and it wasn't, COVID wasn't a concern. And now the city's trying to claim that because of the protests, the COVID is going to spike. And look, I'll tell you, I think with the city's response and the county's response, Austin has a strong manager form of government, which means the mayor and the council are more like a board of directors, but the city manager is the CEO, right? He runs the city.
Mm-hmm.
Houston has a strong mayor form of government, which means the mayor rules with an iron fist. He is the man. Steve Adler has made no qualms about it that he would like a strong mayor form of government in Austin. It's never going to fly. It's never going to happen. But these emergency powers that they did, this emergency declaration gave him powers that he otherwise wouldn't have. And once you get those powers, they're very hard to get back.
Mm.
And if you think about it, they've been meeting since March, sequestered at their homes.
Yeah.
All of them are out. All of them are at home, and they're all on Zoom, right? Mayor's in the W. Kassar, who knows where he's at? I don't know that he's ever at his house. Everybody's at their home. But the great thing about democracy in this country in public discussion is when your government leaders are making decisions, you have the right to go talk to them about it. They've been making all these decisions, and it's only one person at a time. And there's never been a crowd in the room with them to make it. So it's one person or two people that pop in on these Zoom calls. They bought hotels and spent millions of dollars on hotels. They made the decision. What did they make last week?
Well, can I just say real quick?
Yeah.
Zoom records all the calls. Shouldn't we ask them to see what they're saying in these calls? And
it's public information.
It should be, right?
Everything the government does should be public information. You can put a public information with. Look, you could put in a public information request for Steve Adler's Gmail account because he signs it in Boston.
Mm.
That makes it an official account. There are a lot of public information requests, but my point is the people aren't being allowed to exercise their right to go to council chambers and speak to the council in person. It's a big difference over when you like normally if this wasn't going on, I'd be sitting in there with you guys,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's different with me sitting here in my house, in my office, and you guys sitting in your show. I'm looking at you on a screen. You're looking at me on a screen.
Yeah.
We're not looking at each other, but realistically, I mean, we're not looking each other in the face. So, I could be all mean and gruff and everything, and y'all would go, man, you're in ex-BFE Texas, right?
Exactly.
What are you going to do to me? If I was in the studio with you and things started getting a little heated, it's a whole different situation.
Or we would be more cordial towards one another, right? We would sense the body language or the tension and say, oh, maybe I should ease up a bit or whatever, So
well, and it's all about. Look, I'm very much about. I'm socially a little liberal on some things. I believe we should help our friends up, give them a help up, but we shouldn't make it permanent.
Yep.
Right. Very physically conservative about where we spend our money. The government realistically has two functions in this world: public safety, as in the police, and fire protection. That's it. They should not be in the business of anything else. In Austin, we're in everything.
Wow.
So let's talk about more of this defunding thing. So let's say we want to try to.
I went off on a tangent. Sorry.
No, that's absolutely great. Thank you, by the way. But I want to talk about like what would be a good libertarian or even just a compromise in general, because I guess it doesn't matter what it is if it's a compromise. But what's a good compromise for defunding the police? If we were to say, okay, fine, let's give you guys something like we want to get rid of bad cops.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, and I'm all for that. Trust me, I'm all for that. You will never hear me say or defend a bad police officer.
Absolutely.
And I use the example of the Sandra Bland case, the DPS trooper. He initially pulled her over for an out tail light and was writing her a warning ticket. She lit a cigarette. He told her to put it out. She said no. He escalated it. She escalated it. It went up, it went up, went up. Next thing you know, he's rolling around on the ground with her. She ends up in jail and she ends up dead.
Jeez.
Over a stupid traffic ticket.
Right.
Okay. If the trooper, and it was a warning to start with, she won't put the cigarette out, say, ma'am, hold on just a second. Walk back to your car. Now change that warning ticket to a ticket she has to pay. Walk up, ask her to sign it. She signs it. You get in your car. You still got your job. She gets in her car. She drives away. She's still alive.
Yep.
Simple, right? It's simple.
How long was that cop?
Simple.
How long was that cop a cop?
I have no earthly idea how long that trooper was, how long he had been a DPS trooper. But it's up to you on the street as an officer. You have to keep your cool.
Yeah.
You know, and I tell people all the time, and I'm a movie buff. You're going to figure this out really quick, right? The line from Roadhouse, Patrick Swayze,
yeah.
Be nice till it's time not to be nice.
Mm-hmm.
That should be your motto, because there are times you're going to have to not be nice as a police officer. And I will tell you guys, force is never, when it's used, it's never pretty.
Yep.
But you got to remember, police officers have to fight within the rules. Other people don't. Right. And let me, and I'll throw this out and then I'll answer your question, what I think the compromise is. You and I'm in my uniform, right? Dressed in my uniform. I come across you on the street. You and I start getting in a fight. Say a fight breaks out, right? Between us. Is there a gun involved?
Between with him or you, there is a gun involved.
You and I, I'm a police officer. I'm dressed. I'm in uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right. I encounter you on the street. We get into let's say we just get into a discussion and, you know, and I ask you for something, things go south and things go south. Is there a gun involved in that fight?
Yes, your gun.
Well, you have a gun, but I don't know if it's something that's involved yet.
No, that's my point. See, you got it. You understand. There is a gun involved, and it's only my gun till it's not my gun.
Exactly.
Right? Mm-hmm. Which means if somebody tries to take my gun, so at what point people go, you can't shoot unarmed people, but at what point are they unarmed?
Exactly.
Are they only unarmed until they get your gun?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
And that's something they never bring up in the discussion.
Gun, when there's a police officer, there's always a gun involved.
Yep.
No matter what. And that's just the way society is, because as a police officer, you can't go into some of these situations because there are people who want to kill you, right? There's evil in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So my compromise and what I think to the defund thing is, it's not defund the police department, it's redefine the role of the police department. Okay? Why should I go to your house at 8 o'clock in the morning because your 7-year-old kid doesn't want to go to school? I can't tell you how many calls I took in 25 years at APD and the 15 on patrol. How many times I went to somebody's house at 8 o'clock in the morning because their 7-year-old kid or their 8-year-old kid told their mom, F you, I'm not going to school. 911, hey, I need help with my kid.
Wow.
Right? Why should I go to your house at 2 o'clock in the morning because you're playing loud music? That should be something code enforcement does, right? So what's happened is we've relied on the police and we've turned the police into our problem solvers.
Yep.
All of our problem solvers, every problem. Somebody who has mental health issues, if they're not violent, why are the police going? Okay? They're not social workers. There are people better to do that. There's your compromise.
Well, yeah, so that makes a good point, because there was a time 3 weeks ago when there were governors and mayors saying, if you see people not social distancing, give the cops a call and they're going to write them a ticket. But basically that told me you're basically threatening people with losing their freedom. A man with a gun's going to come up to you and tell you to stop.
Yep.
And it could escalate to a further point.
Guess what happened in Austin?
What?
The cops would drive by, get on their PAs, put your mask on, and keep going.
Yep.
That's the way it should be.
That's what, look, compliance. And that's why I tell people too, so this is the other thing. I was never a big traffic cop, right? It just wasn't my thing. I don't like pulling people over on traffic. I go to a traffic crash, and you have to determine the causal effect of the crash. Now, you don't determine fault, right? That's a civil process. That's for the insurance companies. I walk up, and this poor lady who's got 2 kids, single mom with 2 kids, in a car. Now she's just totaled her car. She got in a wreck. Maybe it was she caused the crash, right? Mm-hmm. She was the causal effect, or the contributing factor. That's the better way to put it. Does it really do any good for me to go give that mother now a $400 or $500 ticket?
No.
If she says it was my fault, I'm sorry, I'll take care of it. Where she's already struggling to make ends meet, what good does it do to give a ticket to that lady? I wouldn't do it. Mm-hmm. Now, what I would tell people is on crashes, I'm not going to give you a ticket, even though you were the contributing factor, but I have 2 years to give you a ticket. So if this person has an issue with your insurance and getting you to accept responsibility, I can always write you a ticket, because insurance companies, as soon as the cop writes the tickets, the insurance company will determine that's the person that's at fault. to insurance companies 99% of the time.
Wow.
But why cause a conflict and why add insult to injury? You don't have to add insult to injury to people. And it just simply, going back to the thing about the lockdown, some of these things that they were asking the police officers to do simply put them in a bad situation. And why would you do that? Why would you make people scared of your police?
Yep.
It's just to me, it's crazy. So the answer to the question, I think the answer to everything is we have to redefine what the police's role in society is, and come to some kind of compromise of what the police in the community want the police to be. I joke with people all the time, that patch right there that I wore on my sleeve spells everything in Austin, and that's how it's spelled, POLICE, everything. That's how you spell everything in Austin, police.
Nice. Hey, Brendan, will you put up the number? Would you mind, Dennis, if we take some calls?
No, not at all. As long as they're nice. No, I'm kidding.
Hey.
Yeah, because I know that some people listen to our show that aren't libertarian or conservative. We have some, some liberals and some leftists that listen.
You know what? That's what's so great about this country. There's room for everybody.
Well, one thing I wanted to add was something that you said was how you're like, and what you said was exactly what I tell people. When I go out of my house and into stores, I wear a mask to make other people feel better, right? And the thing that's really been pissing me off about the left is that they call the tolerant people intolerant, and then they become the intolerant ones. And then that pisses us off because we're like, dude, we're doing everything you're asking us, and then that gets us angry. And again, me and Los always say that's how we kind of got pushed more to the right, was because we were Democrats. We were right with you until you guys got crazy and kicked us out of the party and said we don't want you anymore.
Well, you know what I tell people? Look, and most people in this country are centrists. They really are.
Yeah.
People, they're right down. They're moderate people. They want to be left alone, right? But they want to know that if they need the government for something, they're there to help. Police, fire, whatever, right? You know what the scariest words in the English language are? We're the federal government. We're here to help.
Oh, yeah.
It never goes well after those words.
I've got some really good friends that are federal.
Ooh, it looks like we got a call coming in.
Secret Service agents. So it's kind of a running joke, but yeah, those are the scariest words that you get.
Rob, you're on the air. You're talking to Dennis Farris. What's up, bud?
Yeah, hey. So, I
That's
kind of
Kevin.
wanted to talk on it. Hello?
Hey, Kevin, you hear us? He actually made the beer that we're drinking.
Sweet.
Drink.
Oh, yeah.
So what's up, man?
I made the beer. Yeah, so, pretty much, so first of all, I had to walk away from my computer because there's a weird delay between that and the live stream. Anyways, I'm kind of on board with, I don't think that we should defund the police. I'm kind of more on the side of the fact that I don't think that this fight is necessarily on the side of necessarily against the police. The police, I believe, are just kind of the what's in everyone's face. I think that what they're fighting for is like a equal playing field, which and often isn't as much of a case. But in big cities like Houston, Dallas, New York, Chicago, like all these places, these are the places where after and even during slavery and all that, moved up north and to bigger cities, and they were put in a place and segregated, and it's almost still segregated today in a sense. So I don't think that necessarily the answer is to defund the police, but in my mind, let's take in Chicago, there's a nice suburbs of opportunity, and in Chicago there's the areas of opportunity, and then there's the areas where there have been where in segregation they were placed. In my mind, let's just level the playing field. Let's take from those communities and level the playing field and see how everyone turns out. It's like, you know what I mean?
But wasn't that already done, like, by Civil Rights Act? Blacks are now citizens. They're not just 2/3 of people.
Yeah.
They did get all that, and I mean, women can vote. Like, everyone's on the same playing field right now, right?
Well, not just that. I had a conversation earlier today that one thing I took, like, a friend of mine told me was, he was like, I just like, in America, and again, this guy isn't a political guy, but he said in America, pretty much, if you want to make money, you just have to work hard. And I told him, I was like, I have nothing else to teach you. That's all you need to know. America, especially right now in 2020, you have the internet. You have all these things in front of you. It, like, I came from, like, the poorest city in America, Brownsville, Texas. You know what I mean? Like, so don't, like, when people tell me, oh, it's just hard, and this, like, especially people who are ethnic, it's like, come on, guys. Like, yeah, but, like, you got to learn and love the struggle. Like, it's hard, and life is hard. It's always going to be hard, no matter where you, so when I think of, when people say, well, it's just not a level playing field, it's like, it's been a level playing field. They're just some lazy ass people on both sides, and that's it.
Well, and you know what? And let me agree with that on the I think everybody. That's what's good about this country is, I think, you know, look, I'm 58 years old. Okay, I grew up in the 60s. I remember 1968. I remember what it was like in 1968. I was 6 years old, but God Almighty.
Wow.
Holy smoke. I'm looking at this and I'm going, man, this is 68 all over again, but worse because now we have 24-hour news stations, right?
Exactly.
And we got Twitter and we got social media and we got everything else. You can pull yourself out of anything with hard work if you're willing to do the hard work. Okay. My father was born in the backwoods of Alabama. And when I say the backwoods of Alabama, I mean the backwoods. My grandfather died when he was 11 years old. He died building ships during the Second World War. 2 years later than that, they took care of his brothers and sisters. My dad was an engineer at IBM when he retired. Okay. He built the rocket that sent people. He helped build the rocket that sent people to the moon. And this is a guy from the backwoods in Alabama. My mother was from Brooklyn. So, you know, you got to see where my conflict is. My mom is from Brooklyn. My dad is from Alabama. I've got this, you know. The two, but they met and they pulled themselves out. You can't victim blame. You can't be the victim. You've got to quit being a victim.
Exactly.
Okay. No. Everybody's got to quit being a victim. But there are people who have pulled themselves up, and you know, it cracks me up. You can't pull yourself up by your bootstraps. I said, well, that's a saying.
No, absolutely.
If you work hard enough, you can make things happen, and you can make things happen for yourself. Look, Raul Munguia, my training officer when I came out at APD, ended up being an assistant chief at the Austin Police Department. He grew up in a 2-bedroom house in East Austin, south of Chavez, right? Over by the Holly Street power plant, right? He went to school, pulled himself up, became an assistant chief with the Austin Police Department, and then became the chief of police at the University of Texas, Rio Grande Valley. His brother, not so much.
Mm-hmm.
Same opportunities. It's what they did with them.
Exactly.
So,
but I mean, it's kind of more about like the resources available in the neighborhood. Yes, there's always those success stories of that, but I mean, what you have to like, I'm saying that wrong. Like, not what you have to understand, but like, but you know, what needs to be understood is, you know, in a lot of like these super low income neighborhoods, like the idea of success is like the drug dealers in the neighborhood, is like, you know, like the gangsters of the neighborhood. Like this is the vision of success, because there's not a lot of like immediate resources in the neighborhood. That's what I mean by like level playing field. Like,
sure.
And that's, and in my opinion, I mean, yeah, I think they're asking for the money from the wrong place.
Yeah.
Like,
big time.
it's not like, you know, defunding the police, but like, let's take money from, you know, from somewhere else. Like, you know, okay, here's these super rich neighborhoods that have these like huge, like amazing opportunities in these neighborhoods. Let's just take some money out of that and put it over here. That's
Well,
my idea. But
so-
here I am, like as a white guy, white explaining. You know,
Well, and then for me,
black people's problem.
but for me, the other way that I
White
see
explaining. I'm
the way that
pointing that
the way that I
place, by
see what you just said is like, so you're telling me you're gonna take money away from hardworking people and give it to people who aren't working that hard to help. Like, I don't know, like, and this is just me. I feel like if I bust my ass,
I mean, honestly,
I should
everyone
be
who
able
has
to
a
read.
job is working hard. I'm like, we're all.
I don't know
we're all
about
working
that.
Hard.
I
mean,
I kind of disagree. I know a
been in
lot of people
jobs-
who have jobs and ain't doing shit but sitting on their ass.
Well,
yeah, I'm like, that's what I'm saying. I'm like, I see a lot of people with good paying jobs that aren't doing a damn thing.
That's
Yeah,
right.
Exactly.
and you know what? And there's some cops that are that way too. So
Exactly.
Don't get me wrong. You know, I don't want.
Yeah, I'm like, in
the one thing, if
every
you guys-
neighborhood, there are
Yeah, if you guys-
extremely hardworking people who aren't making anything, and there's lazy people in every neighborhood.
So
I'm just talking about leveling the place. Like, let's put more money into low income neighborhoods. Not like just give them millions of dollars, but like resources to develop themselves. Like in these low income neighborhoods, there's not much of anything.
well, I will
Like
tell
there's
you,
not
you
a
know,
whole lot of
Austin,
resources to go to.
the problem you have
Austin's
when
great.
the problem you have when the
I'm like,
government gets
Austin is
involved.
like, yeah.
All right, Kevin. We're gonna free up the line, but thanks for calling, man, and thank you for the beer. It got
Thank
high
you
praise
so
here, dude.
much for the beer, Kevin. You're amazing.
I'll see you tomorrow.
You're a genius with your hands.
Keep listening.
Oh, thank you. And Dennis, I'm sorry you couldn't. But good talk, guys.
Yeah, next time you got to try the beer, Dennis.
Yeah, thanks. So
I got your back, buddy.
Let me kind of expound on that and just my philosophy. And this is Dennis Farris. This isn't a police philosophy. This is Dennis Farris philosophy. Sometimes when the government gets involved, it gets to the bureaucracy in the government is too much. That sometimes the government needs to get out of the way and let private sector handle things. You know, that's what I tell people all the time. They said Trump is this, Trump is this. I said, do you understand Trump's running the government like a business?
Mm-hmm.
He's cutting through the BS.
Yep.
He doesn't care. He's not beholden to anybody. He doesn't care. He's running the government like a business, and that's the way the government. Look, it's I heard somebody say one time is if the federal government was a private business, the only private business in the United States at the time that would survive this was IBM.
Mm.
The only one that had the resources to survive this, the federal government. You can't. The bureaucracy is stifling.
Well, I was going to
It
say,
is stifling. Just try to go get a permit. Look, try to go get a permit to build something in Austin
Yeah.
and see how long that takes you.
Red tape like
Yep.
crazy.
Oh, it's crazy. It's insane. Why would you want to build in Austin? And I'll tell you the fundamental shift in Austin between the east side and the west side is not as great. The interstate was always the barrier. They built the interstate right down the middle of town and it split, it was just geographically, that was the right place to put it, right? But it was the split. When I started in the Austin Police Department in 1990, if you saw a white male walking in St. John's, you stopped him, jacked him up, and asked him what he was doing over there. Okay? And I'm going to say something that's not very PC, but it was a white guy in a no white guy zone. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
He had no business over there, but he was over there to buy dope, buy drugs, or he was looking for a hooker, right?
Mm.
He didn't belong. He didn't belong there.
He was going there for pleasure.
Yeah,
That's what
exactly. He was up to no good.
Yeah,
Maybe
exactly.
That's a better way to put it.
Yeah.
Right? That's not the case in St. John's anymore. Okay, East Austin. If you saw Chavez, if you saw somebody, a white person on Chavez, they were out of place because
Right.
it's just because of the way the city was, right? And there's nothing. It's not racial, okay, but they were just out of place because that's not where the white people went in Austin, right? Well, you go down Chavez now, and that's all you see.
That's all you
white
see.
folks,
Yep.
right? You go to 12, and what happened with the African American community, and a lot of the African American community in Austin is they realized how much that property they owned in East Austin was worth. They sold it. They moved to Pflugerville. They moved to Lockhart. They moved to Luling. They moved to Manor, and they were able to buy a house nicer than the one they had.
That's right.
They cash for it and have money left over.
Mm-hmm.
Why wouldn't you? Look, why wouldn't you want the American dream?
Yep.
A nice house and money if you can sell your property. And they sold it to people who wanted to develop it for the yuppies and the millennials and whoever to own property in East Austin. because that's where the property was available because West Austin filled up. So East Austin was the next place. And if you look going north, every so often, a little more of the east side gets gentrified going north. It's a little bit above where Dishfalk Hill is MLK. It's moving north. The airport left, and all those houses over by the airport that were all dilapidated and falling down and wasn't worth anything. Guys, I'm telling you, in 1997, if I'd have had $100,000, I'd be a multimillionaire right now because I could have bought 5 of those houses for $20,000 a piece and sold them for $500,000. They're going for $500,000 a piece now. And these are houses that when I started patrolling that part of town were worth $20,000. It's crazy.
Yep.
But it's because that's where people want it. It's the core of the city. That's where people want it. Years ago, they all moved out to the suburbs. Traffic's got bad. Now they want to move back in. And the only place to get it is in the core of the city.
I was saying, and that's like capitalism almost, right? You vote with your money, right? You vote with your money. You vote where you want to go, right? And that's the other thing that really ticks me off about Austin is when people get pissed off that a restaurant is going out of business after like 80 years. And it's like, oh no, but it's like, you never spent your money there. You never went there. The reason they're going out of business is because of you, not because of gentrification. If you went there and spent your money there, they would still be there.
Well, we actually filmed a protest maybe a year and a half ago at Leo's Tires. So we got another phone call.
Uh-oh.
Got another phone call.
Let's
go ahead. Yeah, you're on the air.
Hello, it's Neil.
It's Neil, my man. What's going on, Neil? What's your question? You got 30 seconds.
All right. Okay. I'm just switching subject a little bit here, but I think you guys maybe know about this. This bookstore, I didn't realize anything about it. There's a bookstore over in UT where all the kind of the commie punks hang out or something like that. They have, I don't know what, they, have training classes or something like that. Have you heard about it?
Can you hear him, Dennis?
No, I can't hear him at all.
Okay, because he's on the same channel. Have him call back. Call right back, Neil. We're gonna pick you up on a different line.
That sounds like Antifa.
Y'all froze up for about a half a second. You were saying something about a protest, and then you froze up. And then
yes. Let me get back to that. You guys were talking about that. Brennan and I went to a protest at Leo's Tires, and what was going on is that there was this old tire joint right there on Caesar and like Comal area, right?
Right. I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
So what happened is that it got bought up by a Lambert's company to be like a sandwich shop, and what they did is they kept all like the Mexican art, the Aztec art, and everything. Not Mexican, Aztec art. And there were people screaming about gentrification. Oh, you're using this as you keeping up those murals, but you're not paying that artist or anything. But yeah, we went there to see that. They kept yelling about gentrification, but it's already been gentrified.
It's for a long time
because the people that lived there or moved there either couldn't, like, they got money for what they had there and moved to a different location because it was cheaper and they had money in their pocket, just like what you were saying, Dennis. But I'm not sure exactly why they left.
And it could be that the people that owned that business for 80 years and the family that owned for 80 years, for some reason, maybe they didn't have any kids, right? Yep. So now you have the second or third generation that's running that, but they don't have any kids to take it over. They're tired. They're ready to retire. What do? They sell it because that's their retirement.
Yep.
They sell it and they go off someplace else and they go live like the American dream. You work hard, you retire, you enjoy your life. Look, I'm living the American dream. I retired at 53. I was 53 years old when I retired. My dad was, my goal was to retire before my father did. My father was 57. I beat him by 4 years.
Nice.
Right.
Very nice.
We got Neil back on the phone.
Yeah, cool.
Neil, go ahead.
Yes, sir. Oh, all right. Switching subjects a little bit here.
Go ahead.
I'm wondering about this. I just found out about it or learned about it myself. Is that this bookstore I think is associated with UT. And it's called a Monkey Den or something. I'm not sure.
And
this is linked with these the commie punks hang out there and train or get organized. And have you heard about that?
What's the name of the place again?
Monkey Den.
It's a bookstore. It is a bookstore where these commie punks, the Red Guard hangs out and stuff like that, where they get trained.
You know, I think I know where he's talking about. Back in the day, y'all remember? And again, I've lived in Austin since 1970, this area since 1977. I grew up. You know, I say I grew up. I grew up in northern Alabama, obviously, because my dad worked on the space program. But moved here in '77. I moved to Round Rock. You know, back then we could drive from Round Rock to Austin in 5 minutes. Right? No big deal.
Damn.
But I've lived here since '77. So there were 300,000 people in Austin when I got here. So, and I don't know y'all's history. I don't know how long you've lived in Austin. But used to be, there was a group called the Peaceful Street Projects, and it was a gentleman by the name of Antonio Bueller, and he was a little bit of an anarchist. He was an Army vet, and he, you know, and he was a little anti-establishment. He didn't like the cops. He got into an officer's face one night, and they ended up rolling around on the ground. He ended up getting arrested. Everything, and it just went. And it just became a point. It became a point where he made his mission. To go after the Austin Police Department. Well, they would have their we're going to 6th Street to raise hell with the cops at a coffee shop near UT. And I think that maybe this might be where he's talking about. So, but that's fine. Yeah, look, you know what? It's fine. You know, again, it's fine. If you want to protest, I'm all for it.
Absolutely.
Just don't throw stuff.
Yep.
Yeah.
Look, what people haven't seen, there's some really good pictures that I've seen of, they delivered 100 dozen, not 100 dozen. There's a carton of 100 eggs sitting on the ground in front of the police station when the protest started for people to come up and grab them out of the carton and start chunking them at the cops.
Yeah. What about the bricks, the pallet of bricks that are just showing up?
Well, now see, I didn't see a pallet of bricks. Now I did in Dallas and some places, but here's the deal. When you look around that area, there's construction all around that area. There's plenty of bricks. All you gotta do is walk to a construction site and pick one up, right? Or chunks of concrete or rocks. Baseball size rock. My kid got hit with a baseball size rock. Oh. You know, he got hit with rocks. You can't throw stuff at the police. That's just not that's anarchy. It's not It's not the way things are supposed to be. And if you throw something at the police, you're going to have to expect that they're going to respond.
Yes.
And then don't get mad when they respond because but they started. How they started by being out there. Well, they have to be out there. They can't let you take over the police station.
Yeah.
They can't let cars run you over on the interstate. They can't let cars run you over on the frontage road. And they can't let you block the only north-south thoroughfare from Brackenridge to South Austin other than going all the way around to Mopac. If somebody's having a heart attack and they got to get from the hospital there, they got to go, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So, you know, the cops started it. Well, no, the cops didn't start it. The cops started getting pelted and they
hang up on Neil. Thanks, Neil.
You know, they started responding to it. And and again, I said this earlier, force looks bad. There's no way to make force look pretty. You get in a fight, it looks bad, right? It just does. I wish the protests had been peaceful the first 2 nights. There were a lot of great people out there and still are a lot of great people. And if people want to stand there and yell and scream and holler, God almighty, it's America. That's their right.
Yeah,
that's right.
You know, the motto of the special response team, which is the crowd control team from the Austin Police Department, and they're very proud of this motto. They're called Defenders of the First. Defend your right, your First Amendment right to speech.
Yes.
And they will walk behind you and keep the cars off of you the whole time you're yelling MF at them. The other night, they had a whole big crowd in front of the police station. You know, screw the cops, you know, F the cops, this, and cops are bad, all this stuff, right? Yeah. Well, you know what that stands for, right?
All kitties are bastards.
Yes. So all of a sudden they had a drunk coming the wrong way down the frontage road. And guess what those people yelled? Get behind the cops! Get behind the cops!
Oh, yeah, of course.
Up their lines, brought them in and surrounded them and surrounded them and protected them from that car running them over, right?
No.
So here, 1 second is you're yelling death to you, and here's a guy willing, after that, he's willing to step out and get run over by a car for you. You just can't tell me that's a bad person. It's not.
Well, and that's the thing.
I'm not saying there's not bad cops. I'm very clear because there are.
That does bring me to a question. So the cop that was he's on trial right now for the killing of George Floyd, had many complaints levied against him. What do we do, and what point do all these complaints, I don't even know if that's true, all the complaints, that's what I've heard. when does a cop get fired in this town or in any town that has cops when they've had, I think I heard 19 complaints or something?
Okay. So let me put that into perspective.
Sure.
Okay. Especially in Austin in how they do things. I pull you over on a traffic stop, right?
Mm-hmm.
Give you a ticket. You don't like it.
You call a complaint.
I tell you, have a nice day. Walk back to my car, get in it, drive off. You pick up the phone. You call the Office of Police Oversight. Officer Farris was rude to me.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now we take the report down, right?
Yep.
We take the complaint. They investigate the complaint. They look at the body-worn camera video. The body-worn camera shows the video say the last encounter Officer Farris had with them, the last thing they said was, have a nice day. Well, that person felt like that was snarky. Maybe he was being rude. Okay. Now you have a complaint on you.
Jeez.
Okay. You have a complaint. Now, whether you got any discipline for it's a different story, but now you've got a complaint. Well, you make thousands of stops a year.
Yeah.
You're bound to get them.
Complain on you, right?
Mm-hmm.
For being rude, but everybody has a bad day. You have to, I guess, what you have to do is you have to weigh what type of complaints they are, right? And if you get somebody who's constantly getting complaints for being rude, you need to bring them in, start looking at what they're doing, and try to correct that behavior. That behavior has to be corrected. Now, not knowing all the history of the gentleman, the
murderer
in Minnesota, that guy has set policing back 50 years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yep.
Not knowing everything, he's been supposedly was involved in 3 officer-involved shootings. Sometimes you're just in the right place at the wrong time.
Right.
Yep.
Right. And it happens. I was lucky enough. I came close 2 or 3 times. Never had to fire my weapon in defense of myself or somebody else in the line of duty. I shot my gun out the range all the time. Got shot at a couple of times, but never, thank God, I didn't have to shoot anybody.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Yes.
Nobody wants to do that. Trust me. You don't want to. I know officers that have been in 2 and 3 just because they just happen to be that guy, right? Yep. We call them, can I use this word?
Yes.
We call them shit magnets.
There you go.
Mm-hmm. Okay, they're shit magnets.
Hashtag
right?
that.
Magnets. I'm going to tell you something. You know who one of the biggest shit magnets I ever met was?
I need to know.
Because I worked for him. Art Acevedo.
I don't know.
That dude is a shit magnet. Stuff will find him. He used to be the chief here in Austin.
Yeah.
He's chief in Houston now.
Oh, he gets to move over there and be the chief there.
Damn.
Huh?
Well, he's the chief there, but he's been there. He's been in Houston almost 4 years.
Art Acevedo is a piece of shit, or what are we calling him?
No. I didn't say that, dude, because he and I are friends.
Oh,
he's a shit magnet.
Shit magnet.
Just shit like keeps getting. He keeps getting all the shit.
He just hates being one of those guys that's right where everything.
Oh,
happens, right?
okay.
Forrest Gump was a shit magnet. Okay.
Shit, yes, now I know what you're talking about. I know what you're talking about.
You just attract crap, right?
Yep.
It just seems to.
That's the worst.
To you. But going back to your thing is, you have to look at the complaints, right? And if you start seeing a pattern of really bad complaints, that's when things have to escalate. So in Austin, they have what's called a discipline matrix. All right. So let's say the first time and I'm going to use car crashes as an example. You get in a car crash in your patrol car the first time, and it's your fault. You get a little bit of discipline, right? Well, then within a year, you get in another one and you've screwed up and did it again. Now you get a little bit more discipline. So the discipline gets progressively worse. It's intended to correct the behavior, right? There are some people that just doesn't snap. Yeah. And it sounds like this guy should have had somebody looking at him long before he got to this point. Should have looked at him. In Austin, they do a pretty good job. Obviously, there's going to be people that fall through the cracks, right? But there are also people when you are one of those guys and you work in an area of town where the crime rates are real high, you're going to get a lot more. You're going to have a lot more instances, especially of using force, because you're arresting more people, just because the crime rate's higher. So somebody that works, let's say at 620 and 183, and somebody that works at Runberg and 35, those officers' experiences are completely different from each other. Does it make sense?
Oh yeah,
yeah, big time.
So it's not so much. And look, and there are plenty of officers in Austin that get fired. You just don't really hear a whole lot about them. But there are a lot of officers that get some pretty heavy discipline for doing some really stupid stuff. I mean, I used to tell people all the time, and I say this, when somebody would get suspended, I would go look at their pink sheet, which was the sheet they put. It was a pink piece of paper, but it listed what they did to get wrong and how many days off they got. I would look at it and go, nope, ain't going to do that. Nope, ain't going to do that. Nope, ain't going to do that. Oh, well, you sure ain't doing that. Right? You learn from other people's mistakes.
Exactly.
That's the way life is. And look, I'm not perfect. I got zapped in 2004. I got zapped for 10 days. I'm not proud of it. It's part of my history. I overcame it and I moved on. But mine was for off-duty stuff. It had literally had to do with off-duty employment. I was was going through a divorce. I had just recently gone through a divorce. I was a really bad record keeper, right? And I let paperwork slip. And it was egregious enough that I deserved 10 days off for it. Wow. It was hey, Dennis, boom, we're getting your attention. Guess what? Dennis never got in trouble again.
Exactly.
Because I never wanted to go to internal affairs ever again in my life.
Yeah, so I hear a lot. I hear a lot. Who polices the police? It happens to be internal affairs, right?
Affairs, correct.
Yeah.
And so internal affairs has investigators that investigate the police. And people think, well, cops can't investigate cops. Well, they can. Trust me, they can, and they do hold each other accountable. 70% of the complaints that happen in the Austin Police Department are internally driven.
Wow.
Which means
wow,
every
that's crazy.
10 complaints, seven of them came from inside the department.
Wow.
Though, but you don't hear anybody.
Exactly.
Nobody hears that.
Exactly. Yep.
No.
They don't tell you that. You know why they don't tell you that? It doesn't fit their damn.
It doesn't fit the narrative.
Goddamn right. So, Dennis, we've only got a few minutes left here on the show while we're on the air. We'll probably keep you on a little longer for our after show.
Dennis, you just became one of my new best friends.
Yeah, absolutely.
That real quick.
So, look, guys, here's the deal.
This is for you right here.
You got my contact information. You guys want me to just let me know, because my wife jokes around. The worst thing you can ever do is ask Dennis to talk more.
Okay, so real quick, how do we get rid of bad cops?
You hold them accountable, and when they are bad, you give them. Everybody has the right to due process. Okay. When you have bad officers, it's up to other officers to point those officers out, to report those officers, and to make sure it's up to the department then to hold those officers accountable. I believe Austin does a better job than most. Again, sometimes things slip through the cracks. We're human. It's part of the human nature to make mistakes, right? The other thing is you've got to make sure that you do everything right. So there's a process, and the rules are a certain way. You can't jump from A to M to Z. You have to go A through Z.
Yep. And
if you don't go through A through Z, it's like anything else. If you arrest somebody for murder and you screwed up the crime scene, they as well as I do, they're guilty as hell, but they get off on the technicality.
Yep.
That happens with officers too, because things aren't done right. So the process has to be flawless. It takes time, and that's why everybody gets so upset. Well, if it was a normal person, they would be arrested immediately. Well, probably true. The difference is that person wasn't doing that in the commission of their job. Okay, makes difference.
Wow.
So it's an employment. Not only is it something that might be criminal, it's also something that's employment related. So you've got two. I'll use this. I'll say this: an officer involved shooting. There's two investigations that happen in an officer involved shooting. There's the criminal investigation, because anytime you fire a weapon, it's a criminal. Even if you do it as a police officer, it's still a criminal violation. You just have to be determined whether it's justified, right?
Yep.
There's a criminal violation. There's a criminal investigation to determine whether it was criminal, and then there's an administrative violation to determine whether you were within policy. You can be justified in shooting somebody by the penal code and not be within policy.
Right.
Yep. That is so true.
Well, hey, thank you, Dennis.
Damn,
you have
Dennis,
been a wonderful guest. We went a whole hour.
Guys, I'm sorry it took a little while to get on, but
no, I think we'll keep your number on file, because we definitely have lots of questions about laws and everything, and I think you're probably the best person we know that will be able to take care of those questions.
And like I said, I'm happy. I'm happy to help y'all anytime I can. And look, I know you said you have people. I don't want anybody ever to be afraid or think, well, I'm not going to call in because that guy's just going to dismiss what
real
I'm
quick.
saying.
I've got to sign off real quick. I'm sorry, Dennis. We got to sign off real quick. So for Brandon the Heart Mitchell, for David Aguilar, I'm Low saying that's right.
Boom.
All right, so we're off the air on public access, so we can keep talking on Facebook Live here.
Let's go.
Yeah, so I'm very open to it's one of those things where you've got to be open to hear all sides, right?
Yes.
It's when you close your ears that the problem starts, and you have people who don't want to listen. You've got some people who just simply say the cops are bad and that's it. The cops are bad. You're never going to be able to convince me they're not. So last Friday, I'm running water down to the police station, right? I'm going and buying. I went to Sam's. We bought about 20,000 bottles of water and Gatorade for the cops because between DPS and APD, there was somewhere around 500, 600, 700 cops around the police station. Well, it's hot, right? They're wearing heavy armor because the heavy armor is what protects them. They're wearing helmets and everything else. Well, they didn't have enough water, so I was running water. So there was a family standing on the corner right there by the PD. And it was a mom and dad, a couple of kids, and then like maybe a brother and a sister of either mom or dad. And they're standing there. There's like 6 people. So it's 4 adults and 2 small children. And I look over there and it was hot. And they didn't have any water. And like they were wearing black. A couple of them wearing black. And I'm like, it's like 95 degrees out here and you're wearing black and you're standing in the sun. So I walked over with a 6-pack of Gatorade and a 6-pack of water and a box of peanut butter crackers, right? These like you get out of the vending machine.
Yeah.
A pack unopened, a box of them, right? Unopened. I walked over and I go, hey mom, do you mind if I, the kids look like they're hungry. Do you mind if I give them these snacks? And she looks at me and I go, they're not open. I said, they're fine. I said, we just got them from the store a little while ago and I handed them to mom. I said, y'all thirsty? You look thirsty. Here's some water. Here's some Gatorade. And the mom goes, okay, well, where did this come from? I said, my truck. And I pointed to my truck. And she goes, no, sarcasm in me kicked in a little bit, right? Where do these stairs go? They go up, right? So I said, no, I said, they came from the supplies we're bringing for the cops. And she goes, and I was wearing I had a mask on. I got a mask that says got the APD badge or patch on it, right? And I said, it's coming from the supplies we're bringing in for the police officers. I said, so in effect, ma'am, they came from the police officers, right? And she goes, really? And I go, yeah. And she goes, why would they do that? And I'm like, why wouldn't they?
Yeah.
I said, ma'am, you're hot. You're thirsty. Your kids are hot. Your kids are thirsty. You look hungry. I said, why would you think that? She goes, well, aren't cops bad? And I'm like,
dang,
what?
Man.
What? I mean, and I'm kind of like in this twilight zone, right? I'm thinking, man, am I? And I said, what makes you think the cops are bad? She goes, well, the city council's telling us they're bad. These are your city leaders, folks, right?
Yep.
These are your city leaders. People follow leaders blindly sometimes. And sometimes what happens when you follow leaders blindly, you follow them right off an edge of a cliff.
That's right.
And it goes back to something even when we talked to Brian Govatos. He had asked us a question of the question was, how do you guys feel when people just look at Trump as a racist and they come at you that way? And my response was, I'm not mad at them because I know that that's all the media is telling them.
Yeah.
So when you hear that, right, when you hear that narrative over and over and over again, and then you meet, right, a Mexican American who is telling you, oh, yeah, Trump is cool. And they look at me as like, wait, you support a racist, and trying to deconstruct that argument to who he is and all that kind of stuff. It becomes so mundane after a while where I don't even want to deal with those people because it's like, I'm not going to try to defend Trump anymore.
No, you can't. Listen, here's the deal. You can only have an opinion if you agree with the other side.
Mm-hmm.
Drew Brees.
Oh my God.
Drew Brees.
Shit.
You know what the new term is now? You're getting Drew Brees. Right?
Yeah. You're getting breezed.
He had every
easy
right.
breezy.
He had every right to say what he said.
Exactly.
Now, whether you agree with it or not, it's a different story. He had every right to say what he said. Just like the Black Lives Matter, people have every right to say what they want to say. The only thing you can't do is yell fire in a movie house, right? It's against the law.
Well, I can say fire in a movie house, but I can't say fire in a movie house.
And you can say fire in a movie house when there is a fire in the movie house.
Yes, you can. But you're right.
Well, and one thing I wanted to say was, like, and even then, right? Because I've dealt with a lot of racist people in my life, and never
so
do,
have I.
and never
being a white police officer working in Northeast Austin.
Yeah,
damn right.
Well, and that's
you goddamn right.
So that's the other thing that I try to get white people to understand, because white people talk to me as if they're in sin towards me in some way, shape, or form, and I'm like,
white guilt.
I'm like, you have not done anything wrong towards me. Like, what? And it's like, oh, well, it's I don't know your culture, and I'm like, shut up. Like, what are you talking about? Like, you don't need to understand my people. Just be my friend. Like, this whole concept of race.
Here's the deal. You know what I see right now? I see two guys sitting there. One's got a beard. One doesn't. One's wearing a camo shirt. One's wearing a white shirt. Had a jacket on until just a second ago. I see gray. I don't see black and white. I see gray. My best friend's Thai, right? He's from Thailand. He's the biggest Thai you'll ever meet. His name is Wuthapong Taxinanukic.
Hey, that's a Thai name if I ever heard one. Damn.
Name, dude. And I will tell you, I call him my adopted Thai brother, but I don't. He's Thai, but he's not Thai to me. He's just what?
Exactly.
Right? He's what to me, right? I don't see him. I don't see him. So, and it kind of give you really, it's kind of funny. So you talk about that. So where I grew up in Alabama, I grew up in Huntsville, Alabama. I grew up in the northwest end of town. Every school I went to, from elementary school to junior high till my first year in high school, every one of the schools was 50-50. It was 50% Caucasian, 50% African American. I moved to Round Rock, Texas in 1977, only one high school, a school of 2,000. There are 1,600 white people. There are 380 Hispanics and 20 black people, 20 African American students, right? And it's culture shock for me.
Yeah, for you.
For me, it's culture shock.
Yep.
I moved into a school that also was going from a school that was 50-50. And look, no offense, I didn't see a whole lot of Mexican Americans in Huntsville, Alabama. I saw some Cubans, but I didn't see a whole lot of Mexican Americans, right? So when I moved to Texas, to me, I looked at they're from Mexico, or they're Mexican Americans. Like, oh, okay, cool. Yeah. No big deal. There's just
Same
another
thing.
person. Yeah. There's another person in school with me, right? I don't see that. And it's funny. People say, "Well, you grew up in Alabama." I said, "So what? I saw the Klan. Look, I saw crosses burning, but I'm a second generation Italian Catholic. They didn't like me just as much as they didn't like the black people, right? Or the African Americans. They didn't like me either, right? I'm a mutt as far as they're concerned. I'm a mutt."
Well, one thing I wanted to add with what you said was one thing I've been trying to tell like a lot of my white friends is there is as much racism.
You just did it.
No, well, there's as much racism on the black and brown side as there is on the white side. Like, as black and brown people, we're taught to either elevate white people or hate them, right? So either way, you're putting them at a pedestal that they can never reach, or you're treating them just as the way they're treating you. So, like I said, if we're gonna coin this thing as racism, I just see it as hatred.
Yeah.
If you guys want to talk about it, racism, then we got to say Mexicans are just as racist as blacks, and blacks are just as racist as whites, and everybody is.
Can be racist.
Everybody can be racist.
This number that somebody of color can't be a racist.
Exactly.
Is wrong.
Boom.
I will tell you this. I think it's worse racism to pander to somebody because of their color.
Yes.
Okay?
Yes.
So I personally think everything, when you see somebody, oh, I have to take care of you. I'm this rich white person. I have to take care of you because you're poor and you're black. That's racism.
Yo, real quick, I want to add to that because this past Saturday I went down to the Capitol and I saw these, two white people pretty much with Black Lives Matter signs, and I told them, don't you find it ironic that you guys are the only one here, there isn't any other black people? And so we continue to talk in the conversation and just kind of like, talk to one another. And I found it funny that, he got mad because I kept saying Black Lives Matter. Like, to me, that's racist because you're saying Mexicans don't matter. And then so he turns the signs around and it says, white silence equals violence.
Ugh.
And I was like, that's fucking racist. He's like, what do you mean? How is that racist? And I'm like, you're telling me only white people have the power to change this. Nobody else, not Mexicans, not blacks, not Asians, only white people.
Everybody has
and the
to
fact that
change
he could not see that as racist showed me that he was being racist. Like, come on, dude. Like, if you want to call it that, let's call it that.
You know what's funny is all these supposedly woke people,
Mm-hmm.
if they were walking down the street and there was an African American male walking towards them, they would walk across the street to
100%, without a doubt.
They would, or you, or you know, or you because of your beard. They look at you and they look at your beard. People look at you and look at your beard, and what's the first thing they're going to think? They think you're some mountain man, country hick.
Yep.
Because of your beard. They think you're Duck Dynasty guy. You're like the Duck Dynasty guys, which by the way are very smart, very rich people.
That's right.
You can't look at somebody, you can't judge somebody by how they look. You know, so I went on Deb O'Keefe, who's on 101X, is a real good friend of mine, right? And Deb's Deb, love her to death. She had me on her show. She and Jason last week talking about trying to get a different perspective, trying to get all perspectives, right? Mm-hmm. And I got on there and was talking. She caught hell for having me on her show, right?
Damn.
Because why you got that pig MF on your show, whatever. And I told her, I said, people need to remember something. When you're born, you don't hate.
Mm-hmm.
You don't hate when you're born. You don't hate because guess what? When you look in the nursery. When you look in the nursery, you're in the nursery with all the babies.
Yep.
Right?
That's right.
Black, brown, purple, green, pink, whatever. Right? You're not getting up out of that. You're not getting up out of your little bassinet line over there going, hey, dude, I'm in charge of this nursery. This nursery's mine. People aren't born to hate. They have to be taught to hate. How do you stop people from hating? You teach them not to. You learn how to get along with people. When I see Chaz Moore, I see somebody who has hate in his heart, because every time you see him, he has a different shirt on that's promoting him for being black.
Damn.
Okay. And what that does is that in itself is, to me, is a form of racism, because he's wearing a shirt that says, I'm black, I'm better than you are.
Exactly.
You never see me, and then, you go back to Trump and you talk about Trump, the thing about Americans are when they do these polls, and that's the reason he won, people aren't going to, because they're told you're bad if you support him. They're not going to, they just don't want to get into confrontations. So when they say, who are you going to vote for? I don't know. And then they're going to go in there and they're going to pull the lever for Trump.
Yep.
Right? Because they realize the guy's running the place like a business. I don't like everything he does. I will tell you that right off the bat. I wish he was, quote, quote, a little more presidential sometimes.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Do you feel like the feeling of black supremacy or African American superiority is somewhat tied to the black Hebrew Israelites? Again, I'm a Christian, and I feel like a lot of times where I've dealt with black Hebrew Israelites, that mentality and that mindset that is being preached in the Black Lives Matter movement seems like it's a lot like the black Hebrew Israelites.
You know what? I don't know enough about that stuff to be dangerous, So I don't, I can't comment on something I don't know. I really don't know. I haven't studied or haven't looked at.
Okay, cool.
I will tell you that when anybody of any race tries to put their race above another race, it's racism.
Yes.
Plain and simple. That's the plain definition of racism. And, to make people, because the color of their skin, feel guilty because the color of their skin is wrong.
Yeah.
Period. End of story. And, I'll say this about Colin Kaepernick. Cap was he's still an okay guy, right?
For second string quarterback.
Yeah, for a second string quarterback.
You know what? Here's the deal. What people keep forgetting? Kaepernick opted out of his last year of his contract with San Francisco. He chose not to come back to San Francisco, right? His girlfriend's the radical. She's the radical Antifa type. She's the one that doesn't like the cops. She's the one that started.
Dude, I hear that. I see that all the time. It's like they have this, there's this hot chick at these events where there's Antifa or anyone on the left, right?
Look, and don't take that as being.
You're talking like De Blasio's daughter?
I'm just telling you, he didn't care. He didn't care until his girlfriend cared.
That's what my point was. You know, there's these chicks that are like, you know, really woke, and like there's dudes, they're pretty attractive chicks too, or ladies rather. And there are lots of dudes that would like to be part of that, or at least part of her.
Can I tell you a quick biblical story, like 2 minutes?
Go ahead.
Less? So in the Bible, right? In the Bible, there is a prophet Balaam who is supposed to go curse the people of Israel because this other king wants to curse them, and Balaam, on his way to curse them, gets stopped by his donkey because his donkey sees an angel in the way. And Balaam beats the donkey, and the donkey ends up being like, yo, like, ends up talking, right? So then Balaam goes before King Balak. I know, a lot of crazy shit happens. Balaam goes before Balak, and pretty much it's like, I can't curse them. And then Balak is told that the only way to curse the people of Israel is to send women from other nations to entice them to take away pretty much God's hand of blessing. Right. So with you saying, oh, there's attractive women going after these men, that's a tactic that's been used for hundreds of thousands of years. Like, to get beautiful women to entice men, to get them to go for that agenda. That's even in the Bible.
Interesting. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Well, I will tell you that I am not going to apologize to anybody for being born the way I look.
100%.
You shouldn't.
100%.
No one should have to. No one of any race should have to apologize to anybody for how they were born. Now, you know, kind of looking at the Minnesota stuff because it keeps popping back in my head, and I'll tell you that made I watched it the first time, and then it was like it's like. At my house, if the SPCA commercials come on where they show the dogs, in the winter,
the sad
I have
music.
to turn it off. My wife can't watch it. I got to turn it off, right? And like we turn the TV on for white noise at night, right? And I'm a big Star Trek fan. You can't see it. This room, the Star Trek room's downstairs. Oh, actually, you can. Oh, I don't think I can turn the camera around. Hold on, let me see. Can I turn the camera around?
Are you using your phone?
No, I'm using my iPad.
Oh, okay.
You should be able to.
I don't know. Anyway, so I kind of give you an idea. I'm in my Lego room at the moment.
Hey,
Turning around.
dang, man.
There's my blow up Enterprise, right? But there's my Lego table. So I got the Batmobile. Now,
Damn, that is dope.
Right? But this is what's really cool. I am the ultimate action prize, dude. Guess who that is?
Is that Dave?
No, that's
Evil Knievel. Evil Knievel. There you go. I was thinking about Super Dave.
No, it's not. That's where Super Dave came from.
Yeah, Evil Knievel.
That's an Evil Knievel stunt bike.
Oh my gosh.
That was when I was a kid, and I found it on the internet the other day, and I'm a big kid at heart. I went and bought one. So
damn.
Anyway, like I said, I'm a huge Star Trekker. So we'll turn Star Trek on for white noise to go to bed, right? And it sets the timer for 30 minutes, and we'll be just about to doze off, and that commercial will come on, that SPCA commercial will come on, and I got to turn it off. I got to either mute it or change the channel.
Can I tell you real quick why I love Star Trek? Star Trek was the way that I learned how to use big words. Like words like infinitesimal or ecclesiastical. Like there's like so many words that they were just kind of like bypass words, and I'd be like, what in the world does that mean? And then infinitesimal is like small. Why couldn't you just say small? Why did you have to say infinitesimal?
Why use a $15 word with a $2 word?
Exactly.
Let me grab something off the wall here a second.
Go for it.
And this should be your life's. This should be your motto in life.
I love that. I love it when people tell me that, because then I'm just like,
you know, if you look at his Twitter, his cover photo is the USS Enterprise.
Oh snap!
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Follow me. I have a plan. Is that a Star Trek thing?
So look, I know we're kind of getting off topic. We're just jack-jawing around here a little bit, right? Just. And some of the reason I do that is I want people to understand cops are real people, right?
Yes.
We're real people. We have, you know, we got real interests. We do things. Look, I got a tattoo of the USS Enterprise on my leg. That was my 39th birthday present to myself. I was single at the time. It was cheaper than a young girl. It was cheaper than a girlfriend. and a hell of a lot less headache, right?
Yep, 100%.
And then above it,
not as much of a regret, also.
and
well,
above it,
maybe just as much.
And then above it, I have what is called the Cross of Lorraine. And if you've ever seen Magnum PI, it's the team ring.
Yep.
Yeah, I've got it above it. So those were my favorite shows growing up when I was a kid. So the other show that I love so much, and the guy I love so much, is Tim Allen. Right?
Yes.
So, I don't. It started out being somebody'd say something, I'd look at him and say, I don't think so, Tim.
Yeah,
right?
I love that.
Where Follow Me, I Have a Plan come from. So 10 years ago, my buddy Wood goes, hey man, and he's from Bangkok. He was born in Bangkok. He came over here. He's been here, and he speaks better English than I do, right? And he's been over here. He's been over here since '75. Well, he goes, hey, we're going back this year. Why don't you go with us? And I've never, I've been to Mexico, I've been to Canada, but I've never been anywhere else, right?
Wow.
I've never been out of the North America. And he goes, why don't you go with us? I'm like, okay, well, why not? This ought to be fun. So I go to Thailand with him, and we start doing stuff. Well, for me, knowledge is everything.
Yes.
So if somebody says something to me and it piques my interest, I will learn everything I can to learn about it. Right.
Same.
So when we got to Bangkok, the transit system in Bangkok is really, really good, but you have to learn how to use it. And we went with a pretty good group, right? And we'd be walking around. We'd walk around, and they go, "Where are we going?" I said, "Just follow me. I got a plan." And it kind of started that way.
Nice.
Right? And matter of fact, his wife gave me the sign, "Follow me. I have a plan." And
just like a Thai woman would.
No, she's not Thai.
She's not Thai.
No, she's not Thai. She's an American. And that even all right. So that even gives me a funner story to tell y'all, because this will really.
Can I ask you just one question?
Sure.
And I feel like I have to do this with every guest now, just because I need to know for my own personal diary.
Yeah.
What do you think about Alex Jones?
So I've met Alex on several occasions.
Okay.
Chief Art. All right. So kind of give you an idea. When I came off patrol, I went into what was called the Police Technology Unit. Helped found it. They're the ones who put all the stuff in the cars, right?
Mm-hmm.
The computer system that's in the police cars, I helped build. I helped with the company. I helped build it. I could code it and everything else. I can't do it anymore because I haven't done it in a long time. Well, then I went to go work directly for Chief Acevedo as his aide. So dog robber, as we call him, and that's the guy that would rob a dog of his bone to get his boss whatever he needs. Right?
Wow.
So we went to Alex Jones's show, and not only did I serve as his aide, I served as his bodyguard too. So I was his protector.
Oh wow!
We go to Alex's show, and we go to his studio out there. Alex, I think when he first started, really believed it. I think a lot of it now is just shtick.
Yep.
Because he makes a lot of money,
Mm-hmm.
right? So we go in his studio the first time, right? And we get in there, and there's cameras all over the outside of his building and stuff, and we go in there. And of course, Alex, right. And I'm like, oh, Chief, I got something to show you here, Chief. Right? And he gets in there, so he's in there, Chief's in there in the studio, kind of like in a booth like y'all are at, and they're in there talking, right? And I'm keeping an eye on him. And Chief says something to him, or Alex says something to Chief, and Chief goes, "No, that's my staff out there." And I leaned up and I looked in the window, and Alex goes, "You mean that guy right there?" He goes, "Oh yeah." And then Alex comes out, and we're kind of jack-jawing around in a break, and he starts talking about the cameras. I go, "That's all right, man. Our cameras are better than yours, and we can see everything you're doing." He flipped out.
Oh
It was a joke.
Oh
He flipped
no!
out, right? So we go in there, and it kind of running jokes. So the second time, about 2 years later, we go back down again, and Alex wants to show Chief his Barrett 50 cal.
Yes.
Right. So he goes and gets it out of his office and brings it in. He's got this huge 50 cal Barrett with him, and he goes, "We want to bring it to the studio with Chief," and he's got this raw milk in there with him too, right? and he's drinking this raw milk right out of the gallon, right? It's not pasteurized, nothing. He pulls it out of the ice and he's drinking it.
I love raw milk.
This doesn't turn no frogs gay. You gotta drink raw milk.
Yeah, he wants to bring this Barrett into the studio with Chief, right? And I go, "Okay, you can bring it in there, but you got to give me the bolt." And he goes, "What?" I said, "You can take it in there with him, but you got to give me the bolt."
Fair enough.
"Why are you giving you the bolt?" I said, "Then you're not bringing it in there with me, because I am not going to let you bring a 50 caliber sniper rifle into a closed room with the Chief that I can't get into in less than 5 seconds with a gun that could blow him in half.
That's right.
I'm not doing that, dude. Do you think I'm stupid? And he goes, oh, I kind of never thought of it that way. And he takes the bolt out and he hands it to me.
Okay.
But I think Alex.
I love Alex Jones, man. I love the guy.
Look, Alex Jones is one guy, and Alex Jones is a character.
Yes.
It's a character he plays. He's just like, he's just like
Rachel Maddow
is a character.
Yeah.
People when they start
Don Lemon.
Stephen Colbert is a character.
Yes.
That's right.
Look, I do a lot of high-end executive protection still, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I do CEOs and stuff. So when South by comes around, we do some stuff during South by, and we protect celebrities and things like that. Some of the nicest celebrities I ever met, you would think are come across as some of the biggest jerks in real life, or what you would think would be jerks in real life. But I work with these studio security people, and I'll ask them questions about different celebrities and stuff, and they'll tell you, oh, this person's nice and this person's nice, and they'll tell you, yeah, this person's nice, and then you look at them on television, you're like, they look like they're like the biggest liberals in the world, and they're Samantha Bee supposedly, and I've never met her, but you watch, I can't watch her on television, can't watch her show on TV.
Neither can I.
Right?
Yeah,
because I
for
think
real.
she's just I think she's obnoxious. They said she is the sweetest lady you'll ever want to meet.
Really?
Oh yeah,
I guarantee it.
So this is what I tell people: how I judge somebody is how they treat the person who's willing to take a bullet for them.
Oh, that's a good way.
Nancy Pelosi is a wackadoodle.
Oh,
she treats her security detail like gold.
Really?
Yes, like gold. The Bushes, the two nicest people I met, and I don't have the picture here, but I have a picture with both Laura and Barbara Bush, Mrs. Bush 41 and Mrs. Bush 42.
Yeah.
Laura Bush has got to be one of the nicest people you ever want to meet.
She seemed like a sweetheart, man.
Didn't she kill somebody though?
But that was for a good reason.
Didn't she kill somebody?
No. I think you're thinking of Hillary.
Oh yeah. There you go.
Yeah.
That was
sorry.
I knew it was a first.
Oh,
I knew it
God.
was the first lady. I forgot which one.
Well, there's an episode we did. Maybe it's like late teens or something. We're in episode 159, but this is like early teens. I did the Clinton body count.
Oh man.
We listed just about every single
There's a
death
lot of
associated
people on
to
that count.
Bill Clinton and Hillary Clinton, and we didn't even add. This was like 3 years
Ron
ago.
Brown.
Can I just ask? Just because I have you on here now, I want to know.
Here we go.
So what man have you? Again, I don't even know if you know. Well, do you know anything about Jeffrey Epstein?
I don't think he killed himself.
Well, I don't think anybody
don't
thinks
believe
that he killed himself.
I don't believe he killed himself. Look, there's too many unexplained deaths around
The Clintons.
the Clintons.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I mean, even if you're not a conspiracy
Episode 15.
theorist, and everybody is, by the way, everybody has a little bit of conspiracy.
You damn right
theorist
with you.
It's just it's called curiosity and skepticism.
Yep.
Right. So there's just too many coincidences of people turning up dead. Really, somebody said if COVID-19 had something on Hillary Clinton, we'd never.
So real quick, what you just said right now. So what was it? Was it last year or was it almost 2 years ago? There was a cop that died on 6th Street on the dance floor who was investigating Clinton in one of the cases.
Oh no! I think you're thinking of the. Oh well, yeah. I think I know what you're talking about. I'm thinking of the FBI agent that was doing the backflip and his gun fell out of his.
No.
Oh, see, that's what I thought when he was saying
there
that
was
too.
Some other guy who was on the dance floor and his sister. His sister was in prison.
I don't know anything about that case, and I don't know. But there are too many strange things about people. You can't tell me that a guy in a high security prison in New York City was allowed to hang himself when he had already been on suicide watch
with all the cameras off.
Too many coincidences.
Come on,
there,
man.
Right? It's joke. And the running tab for a long time was this. And by the way, Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Exactly.
But the running jokes again are is if COVID had something on Clinton, it would already be done. I saw it. So I was taking my wife to work the other day. I was driving down 5th Street and drove past El Arroyo, And the sign in front of Ella Roy said, "Who thought Tiger King would be the most normal thing of 2020?"
That damn Carol Baskins.
That Carol.
Come
And
on.
by the way, she
So
killed her husband too.
So that's the other thing.
Yeah, that's right.
That's the thing. It's like, okay, you're like, people are all in on Carol Baskins killed her husband off of what she said on the show. If you're telling me you don't even think Hillary Clinton has taken out that many people, or even the Clintons or the Clinton
come
Foundation,
on. I don't know.
Let me tell you something. I'm not a government conspiracy theorist by any stretch of the imagination, but if the federal government doesn't want you around, you won't be around.
100%.
That's true.
All right, look, and here's what I tell people too, and you can like it, you can dislike it, whatever. There are things the federal government does. There's things that the U.S. government does that we don't know about, that we have no business knowing about.
Yep.
As long as they ain't flying planes into a building, I don't care.
Yep.
I'm not people. Well, they're listening to your phone calls. Well, they're going to hear some really damn boring phone calls because if you're not doing it, look, if you're not doing anything wrong, you don't have anything to worry about. Period. End of story. If you don't run from the cops, it's usually not going to end up in a bad situation. People who escalate their encounters with the police, that's when things tend to have bad outcomes, either by the police or by themselves.
Yeah, so a lot of these.
No one ever died complying with the police.
That's exactly right. That's exactly
I take that back. No, I take that back. One did.
Yeah,
I mean, I will take that back.
I think it's Falia Castile or whatever.
Died. He was complying with the police, but he was murdered.
Yeah.
Yes. And the cop was punished. He went to jail. He's in prison now. Like, yeah, that's the thing. You can see these like the guy that was selling CDs or whatever, and then they put him in a chokehold and he died or whatever. Eric Gardner. The cop, he asked him an order, a lawful order or whatever, and whether or not, look, how easy is it just to put your hands behind your back when a cop is telling you to do that? But no, they literally hold your freedom in their hands. And
well, and let me tell you something. Having done that job for that long, that is an awesome responsibility, and it's not a responsibility to be taken lightly.
Yes,
we have to be held to a higher standard. Okay, you have to be, as a police officer, you have to be held to a higher standard, which means you've got to carry yourself in a higher standard. So I have a friend of mine who's I met him through another friend. It's a rather wealthy man.
Jeffrey Epstein.
We went, huh?
I said Jeffrey Epstein.
No, not Jeffrey Epstein. So anyway, we were at dinner with him in Houston one night, right? And we were sitting at this table, and this guy, it's a bunch of cops. We were down there for a conference for air operations. I did a little TFOing. I mean, you can see it up there. My wings are up there. So my wings are right here. My air wings.
Ooh, very nice.
So
nice.
That's polish right there.
So so we were down there for a conference, right? And we went to dinner with this gentleman, and he bought all our dinner. I mean, we're talking like, I think there were 12 of us, and I think when the bill finally came back, it was like $4,800 or something, right? Guy flips out his carbon fiber American Express, the one that you can walk into the bank and ask for $500,000 on it, give it to you, right? The guy drives up in one of those Mercedes, basically the thing that's like a 4Runner,
like the Humvee.
Yeah. G-Wagon.
Yeah. The things are like $200,000.
Yeah, they're expensive.
So he parks it, right? He parks it and walks in, and the cops are driving in their 1998 Ford Taurus is valet parking them, and this guy's parking this thing. It's the rich guy parks his own car and walks in. The cops are valeting these 98 Ford Tauruses, right? So we're sitting at dinner with him, and we got to talking, and he's really, really very down to earth. And he tells us, he goes, he's a big supporter of law enforcement. And he tells me, he says, he says, this is what I tell people, and this is what I tell my kids. If you come in the house and you tell me you're upset because you've had an encounter with the police, the first thing I'm going to ask you is, did he have a badge and a gun? And if the answer to that question is yes, then you shut the F up. We used to go talk to the UT football players. This is what we would tell them. And this is the piece of advice that I will give every person I come across. the street is not the place to argue with a police officer.
Yes.
If you think that a police officer has done something wrong,
Court.
you go complain on him or you ask for a supervisor. You do not get into a confrontation, because even though police officers are taught de-escalation techniques, so when you start getting mad, there's ways I should try to get you to calm down. But if you're ramping up and you start ramping up, and all of a sudden now you're ramping up and you're getting a little more, and you're balling up your fists and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
Be nice until it's time not to be nice.
Okay, and even with that, like for me myself, right? I know what I look like to other people, and not just cops. I know what I look like to other people, right? I'm this tatted up Mexican.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Like, I look the way that I look. And even with cops, like, I try to be overly cordial with them because I want them to know, like, I am not even close to being a threat.
Yeah.
I would smile. I would joke. I would do anything to make sure that you know, because at the end of the day, exactly what you said. I know that even if you do treat me wrongly, I can go to court and I could argue this. And that's one thing I've been telling a lot of people, like a lot of my friends. It's one thing I tell them is, do you forget that we live in America? Like, we have a voice. We don't have to submit to the government or to the police or to anybody. We have a voice, and we can say what we want and what we don't want. And I feel like we have forgotten that in this country, that the people have a voice.
The problem you've got is that if it's not the voice that certain people want you to hear, they drown you out and they call you names and they shame you into shutting your mouth. Pulling Gone with the Wind off of
yeah, and the Minneapolis mayor, they asked him yes or no, are you for the abolition of the cops? And he was like, no, I'm not. We can do reform or whatever. And they're like, shame, get out of here.
That's what makes me wonder how many people in the city council really feel the way they're saying. Generally feel that way.
They don't feel that way at all.
Are they being bullied into doing what they're doing? Right? Because I can't honestly believe, because I'm going to tell you something right now. If you cut the force down like they're talking about cutting the force down, the community that's going to suffer is the community of the underserved community.
That's right.
Now. Mm-hmm. Okay, which means when houses start getting broken into in West Austin, they're going to pull the cops to West Austin, because the rich people in West Austin, no matter what they look like, are going to start screaming, and they're the money. Look, this drives everything.
Yep.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
This drives everything.
Rubbing your fingers drives everything.
No, I can go get some money. I ain't got much here.
Oh, you mean money? Oh, okay.
but the
friction
drives. All right, sorry.
But that's what I'm saying. Where do you think the services are going to be lacking?
Yep.
We talked about it. The gentleman that called, was it Nate, the guy that made the
Neil?
Mm-hmm. Neil, the guy that made the bill. He's right. Underserved communities. They're going to even be more underserved. That's why Marion Houston upped their budget. He's like, we got to help you can't help the community by taking resources away from the community. And those resources are going to be pulled away from the community. So
rich people will be able to afford private security.
Yes.
Well, it's not even the private security. They're the ones that are going to call up. Let me tell you something right now. Who do you think has Steve Adler's phone number?
Who has
you
it?
Two or a rich guy in West Austin?
Oh yeah,
exactly.
Well that guy, yeah.
Yep.
Okay, and even if you had Steve Adler's phone number, whose phone call you think he's going to
answer my phone
call? The
call.
guy that can give him this.
Yep.
Right. Money
money
makes
talks.
The world go round.
Money talks.
Yeah.
Money does talk, and especially in politics. And that's why I'm saying that sometimes there are services better done by the government getting out of the way. Joe watched SpaceX shoot and of course,
God damn right I did. I watched it live. Awesome.
Look,
amazing.
So here I am. I'm watching a rocket go up, not the shuttle. Right, the shuttle was awesome too. But I'm watching a rocket go up. I'm watching what I saw in my youth, the Saturn V go up. But it's a Falcon 9. It's got a capsule on top of it. It's a damn rocket. Mm-hmm. And I was telling my wife, and she was in awe watching it. And she goes, this is what it was like for you when you were a kid, isn't it? Wow. I said, exactly. I got to see a rocket go up, and it's so awesome. But what was so awesome about it was it was a private rocket. The government contracted with a private company to build the rocket, and they were able to build it. Now, they built it to NASA's standards and NASA's safety protocols and everything else, but that rocket belongs to Elon Musk, which, by the way, that is the mad scientist of mad.
Love that guy.
Bro.
Love that guy.
Mad scientist of mad science.
Now, by the way,
that's Dr. Frankenstein right there.
He wakes up inventing stuff.
Yeah,
for real.
So, by the way, like that day that happened, I think it was a Saturday, and I went to the Greenbelt, and I remember going on Facebook Live, and there was a big protest going on in Austin. They blocked the 35 freeway that day.
What?
They blocked 35.
That was the start of it.
And it was the start of it, and I got into the Greenbelt and everything, and I watched and I screamed, Doug and Bob made it, right? But I was so proud of America and so disappointed at the same time because those protests were becoming, they were saying they're peaceful, but they're throwing, like you watch it, they're throwing shit at the cops. Like I understand that you want to yell at the cops and that's fine, but when I start seeing rocks and they were breaking windows, I was so proud of America and so disappointed at the same time.
There probably was 100. I bet you there was 100 police vehicles damaged.
Yeah.
You know, and so I got a kind of discussion with this lady. She said, go ahead and keep tearing up the police cars. It just means they'll be getting new ones.
Yep.
No, it doesn't.
Well, not only that.
They only make police cars for a certain length of time every year, right? And when they make all of them, and then when they're done, you can't get them until they make them again. Well, what have the car companies been doing for the last 3 months? They've been building ventilators.
Yep.
Because we thought we needed them, right? So they haven't been building cars. So all those cars that got torn up or cars that got totaled, they're just gone. That's just one less car they've got. For at least a year.
There were people on Facebook, which is where I get all my news, by the way, where they were saying, oh, well, we paid for them, so we can do whatever we want to them. Like, come on.
But that's what I was going to say.
Let me tell you something that would get you in trouble in a heartbeat, right? So young cop, right? Stupid, 20. Let's see, when I started APD, I was 28, right? I'd been a cop for 5 years at UT. So I'm out in Northeast Austin one day, and I got this guy screaming at me, I pay your salary, I pay your salary, I pay your salary. I reached in my pocket and I pulled out a quarter and I flipped it. He goes, here's your refund. Now be quiet.
Damn, that should have been. That's
right?
Like a thug life. That's like a thug life video with the glasses. Yes. Take your damn quarter back.
So I get a call across my radio from my sergeant. He says, I need you to meet me over at Nelson Field. So I drove over to Nelson Field. He goes, something happened earlier tonight. I'm like, I'm trying to remember what the heck happened, right? I said, he said, did you have a conversation with anybody? I said, Sarge, I've taken like 15 calls, taking conversations with everybody. He said, I'm thinking of one guy in specifically. And I said, oh my God. He goes, did you really flip a quarter at that guy? I said, yeah. I was tired of listening to him.
Yep.
He needed to leave, right? I said, so I just simply, he yelled at me, I pay your salary. So I gave him his rebate, Sarge. He goes, oh my God. He goes, so he chews me, I kind of get chewed out, right? Kind of chews me out for it. And then he gets done chewing me out and he looks, and he goes, Dennis, don't ever do that again. But damn, that was funny.
Dennis, I just want to add, even going back to the Black Lives Matter thing that I was at this Saturday, and after all that, man, like, so after I was done talking to the two protesters who were predominantly white, I go up to the gate, right? Because I can't go to the Capitol because they don't want you on. They don't want you on there, right? There's all this shit going on, but I just told the guys, so for 2 months straight, and so there's a part of a scripture where Jesus says that don't boast about the good things that you do to the public because it's way better when God honors them in secret. You know what I mean? And so so I'm gonna give myself out right now and whatever. But for 2 months straight, I was going to the Capitol every day and praying for 30 minutes for the cops, for the government, for all these things, and I even got to befriend some of the security there. So when I was after I got done talking to these protesters, I walk up to the gate and there's a bunch of like younger guys, black, white, Mexican, Asian, all standing there, with guns and stuff. And I just told them, like, I just want you guys to know that I keep praying for you and you guys are doing what you're supposed to do. Don't let people like this deter you from doing what's right. There's people like me that pray for you every day. We love you. Keep doing what you're doing. And it was great. They all like lifted up their hands and said thank you. And for me, it's like as a citizen, especially as a Mexican American, I want to let a lot of these people know, like, yo, we ain't got beef with you. We ain't got nothing wrong with you. We're good. We love you guys, and we're here.
You know what? Was it the cops that you walked up to?
They were like in military uniform. They were like what's it called, like camouflage.
Oh, the National Guard.
National Guard. There you go.
Okay.
Yeah. And but even then, and that's what I'm saying. Like to me, like law enforcement in general, I see it as a good thing in this country. Yes, is it perverted? Yes, is it used wrong? Yes, do people manipulate that for their best gain? Of course, because we're humans, we're fallen, and that's what we do, right? But I'm not gonna throw them out with those other people, you know?
Right. So let me ask you a question. Yes or no? Do you agree with yes or no that most Mexican Americans are conservative?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say so.
Big time.
Catholic.
Catholic
what, conservative.
What makes them conservative?
I would tell you faith and family.
Okay. What is the one thing they disagree with the Democratic Party about? The biggest thing they disagree with the Democratic Party about?
Right now?
And I swear to God, I hate getting into this discussion. But
Abortion.
Man, I wouldn't even say, like, part of
abortion,
it,
right?
So
bingo.
Yeah.
It's abortion.
And I was gonna say, so part of it comes from talking to my grandpa and to my mom, and I would say they both agreed on abortion. My grandpa was more on taxes, but they both did talk about abortion. Like, it's a big issue. And so here's kind of my stance on that. Look, it's the law of the land until it's not the law of the land. Mm-hmm.
I think sometimes the Republicans, and I think they're coming off of it a little bit. I think they've lost some people with that. I don't believe in it myself.
Same.
But I'm not going to push my beliefs on it. I mean, I had to go look when I was on patrol. One of the bigger abortion clinics in Austin was just north of KLBJ radio station. And every Saturday morning I had to go sit out in front of that thing, and the people who were against abortion and the women that were coming in and some of the vile things that were said both back and forth. And here I am, this little mini protest myself that me and my shift mates have to deal with. But I think when a party, no matter what political party, automatically assumes that somebody of a certain type will automatically vote for them for no reason, they start losing that person.
Yep.
I think the Democrats have taken the African American vote for granted.
Big time.
I think, Trump, when he was in Detroit, said, "What do you got to lose? Vote for me. What do you got to lose? You're not getting anywhere." I think some of the gaffes that Biden says, the guy's a gaffe machine.
You ain't black if you don't vote Democrat.
Oh my God!
And that's the other thing,
because his handlers had to be just cringing when.
And not even that, because even most recently, Charlemagne, in the most recent clip that I heard from the Breakfast Club, he was getting mad at Terry Crews because Terry Crews was speaking out against police brutality and defunding,
of any
right?
kind, supremacy of any
exactly.
kind.
But they were supporting the guy from Reddit, because the owner of Reddit, or the guy who started Reddit, stepped down, and he said the only person I want taking over my seat is a black woman. And it's like, wait, like, how are you praising a white man and denouncing a black man? Isn't that racism? Like, aren't you telling me, because now you don't agree with my party and you do, therefore, white man, you're cool because you have now paid the penitence of your sin. You're black woke. Man, you're not because you haven't.
Yeah.
Right. No, it's the PC culture in the United States has gotten way out of hand.
Big time.
Big time. And Trump is just ain't PC. I mean, he's just not PC. He's going to tell you what he thinks. And damn be do, damn be don't. But, the thing about it is a lot of people are fed up with that. And even though they're not telling, we talked about this earlier, the reason they're not telling you that, they're still going to go in the voting booth where nobody else knows, and they're going to flip that switch.
Yep. That's right.
They're going to flip that switch for Trump. And it could be, it could really be a landslide victory. Now, it will be interesting to see who Joe Biden picks as his running mate. I think I know who he's going to pick, because I think he's being told.
Yeah.
Kamala Harris.
Yes.
Yeah, I
he
think
is.
so also.
And everybody's like, well, she should be ready to become president the very first day.
Yeah.
I said, how? Why? Tell me. I want somebody to explain to me how she or anybody else, even, some people said, well, how did you know Mike Pence could be president the first day? I didn't.
Mm-mm.
I didn't. I tell you who one of the very few people who have ever been picked as vice president who literally could have become president the very day one was George H.W. Bush. When you look at his entire career, CIA director, he was a congressman from Texas. He was the ambassador to China. He was the director of the Central Intelligence Agency. He was the chairman of the Republican National Committee. The guy, his career was, I mean, he had a vast experience of stuff. So that prepared him. And then when you hear people say, well, Hillary Clinton was the most prepared, most qualified person to ever run for president of the United States. No, she wasn't. She was a senator. She was a carpetbagger senator from New York who lived in Arkansas until her husband became president and then moved to New York, lived there long enough to convince people to vote for her to put her into the Senate. And then she became the Secretary of State because that was the trade-off for her backing off of Obama, I think,
How do you feel about W actually saying that he's not going to vote Trump?
He didn't. Go back and look. Go look.
Uh-oh.
He did not say that.
What did he say?
He did not say that. His staff clarified that. His staff said, because I read it, what his staff said was President Bush has long stated he is no longer involved in presidential politics. He, like his father, has a history of not criticizing their successors. And he will not publicly speak about who he will or will not vote for president. So if anybody said he's not voting for Trump, that's simply a lie. The president's vote is the president's vote. And he's just simply silent. I think what he'll do is, I think he will do what he did the last time, and he probably will not vote for the president, because he has openly said he didn't vote for either one of them in 2016. It goes back to family. And it's something that I'm fiercely loyal about is you don't mess with my family. You don't mess with my friends. If you do, I'm going to come after you with all barrels. Trump went after his father.
Yeah.
Trump went after his brother.
Yeah.
It was personal to him. So not necessarily, I don't think he feels like he can come out and support Trump, but at the same time, he's not going to let
the Democrats win.
Down.
That's right.
Exactly.
He's not going to let the country go down the road that the Democrats want to take the country down the road.
Well, and so can you clarify that? What do you mean by take the country? Like, what do you think, as someone who has spent his time in that space, what do you feel like the Democrats want to take this country down?
Look at Austin.
Yeah, absolutely.
Austin is a microcosm of what the Democrats want to do.
And let's not forget, like, there's this, somebody said this, it was perfect. George Floyd died. Let me see if I can find the exact quote. In a Democrat-run city with a Democrat mayor, with a Democrat district attorney, and so on and so forth. Democrat. Yes. But the Republicans are the problem.
No, not just Republicans. Trump.
The police are the problem.
Why?
Well, the police are the problem. You have one. So because you have a group of officers in one city who did something horrific. The only thing worse they could have done was stood him up and shot him in the head on live television.
For real. For real.
Yeah.
Really, realistically, right? All of a sudden, the entire country seems to be turning against the cops. But guess who they're going to call? And they ain't calling Bill Murray and Dan Aykroyd. They're calling the cops because Ghostbusters is out of business.
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
You ain't going to call Ghostbusters. I told you guys movie references.
Yeah, my man.
I'm with you, dude. I'm with you. I love movie
references and TV references, man. You'll hear.
Oh,
look,
okay.
I blew a disc in my back, kicking in a door.
Sweet.
That's a damn good way to fucking throw a disc out of your back.
Lady doing CPR on her kid. I beat fire and EMS to the house. The door's locked, and I wasn't going to ask her to stop doing CPR on her kid to unlock the door, so I kicked the door in and blew a disc in my back. So I had to have the disc fused. So I was home for about 6 months waiting for it to heal. And I watched a whole lot of television. I watched a whole lot of movies, a lot of Jeopardy too, by the way. If they would have ever made promotional exams at APD trivia based, I'd have been the chief.
That's a great show.
Not that I wouldn't want to be the
Speaking
chief.
of TV shows, dude, amongst all this other thing you said,
Cops.
Cops is now gone now.
Gone.
And I
The
used to
greatest
love.
show.
You know, some of my favorite things about Cops when I was growing up was when, like, now, yeah, I wouldn't admit this today, but I'm going to. When people actually got away.
Yeah.
Like, I was always like one of my favorite parts. You know, now I don't think that's a great part, but that was something in my mind that I remember liking. Oh, you know, a guy was quicker than the cops. He hopped over a couple fences and ran off. I sort of like that.
You root for the underdog.
Well,
Bad
even
guy
that,
in
like,
the
how,
cop shows was the underdog.
like, how are you gonna take away Cops when Bad Boys 3 just came out? We're bad boys. What you gonna do? Come on, where are you gonna get that 3 song from? Come on.
Let me pose this question to you guys. If you're going to pull Cops off the air and you're going to pull live PD off the air that actually star really cops, are you going to be woke enough to pull all the TV shows on television about police officers off the air?
Law and Order.
And are you going to stop making movies about police officers? Because guess what some of the highest rated TV shows in America are? Blue Bloods.
Boom.
All 3 NCIS series.
Boom.
Chicago PD.
Boom.
Look how many shows. Law and Order SVU. They're all cop shows. And one of the guys is screaming the loudest about the cops plays a cop on television. Ice Pick. Or Ice Cube.
Ice-T.
Ice-T.
Yeah.
Ice-T.
I don't know. Ice Pick is from Magnum PI.
Ice Pick. Well, hey, we got to get out of here. Dennis Farris, you've been amazing.
I know. I feel like
one of our favorite guests.
You're the man.
Anytime. You got my email address. Don't, man, just anytime. You need me to come back anytime. I'll be more happy.
Hell yeah, we got a lot of stuff to talk about.
And like I said, I'm gonna tell you guys, look, I am so appreciative that you allowed me to come on your show and be me.
Yes.
Right. And also show people that police can be silly, can be funny, and we're human. We're gonna make mistakes like everybody else. It's part of the human condition. Wave at the police, they'll wave back to you. I tell cops all the time, smiling is not a sign of weakness.
Yes.
And you know, that I wanted to bring this up too, and I forgot, I'm just remembering now. You know, it's not a fact that it's a fact that I'm not racist, but it's a fact that I'm not racist. But you know what I am is, I say this a lot on the show, that I'm closest, because I judge you on, it's sorry that I do, but I judge you on what you dress, how you dress. And that tells me a lot about your personality, because it's what you choose.
Yes.
It's what you chose to wear that tells me what about you. And I think maybe cops, they're not prejudiced on your skin.
Nope.
But if you're wearing something like a hoodie or something, how many black people in really nice suits are getting pulled over or are stopped for no reason?
I feel like, especially with me, like, I feel like if I dress like appropriate and things that fit me, when I go out, a cop isn't gonna look at me and say, well, that's a thug right there. He's gonna be like, nah, he got some dope ass shoes.
Look at them Jordans.
Right, they'll look at me and say, like, yo, that guy is dressed nice. He ain't gonna rob shit. That guy is ready to go out and take his wife out for a nice date.
Right. So think about this. If you go to a job interview and you got red spiked hair and you got 8 ear piercings in your ears,
that's right,
in your nose and your lips.
Exactly.
People aren't going to hire you because they don't want you to be, looks matter.
Yeah.
Right. Looks matter. So, and how you dress matters, and it shouldn't, but it does, because guys, if you see me 95% of the time, I'm wearing t-shirts, flip-flops, and shorts. I don't wear long pants until it gets under 40 degrees.
Yeah.
Just me, and I'm 58 years old.
And even that, like,
40 degrees.
Even when you go into any coffee shop, most of the time there's going to be an attractive barista at the cash register. Why? Because they know the attractive people get tips. That's it, right? Like everyone is prejudiced in some way, shape, or form. Whether it's good, whether it's bad, like that's up for someone else to judge.
I think everybody's biased.
Yes. There you go. Bias. Yeah, I like that way.
I think everybody's biased.
100%.
You have biases, but I know you guys need to run. My wife's probably screaming at me.
I know my wife is like asleep.
Yeah, 2 hours later.
No, I'm good, but I'm good. She was. I told her I was coming on. She was like, "Great," because I went on with Mackenzie and those guys in the Trailer Park Show.
Yeah, we just had her on last week.
Yeah, and this is what I gave her a really good piece of advice the other day, and I think she needs to. And hopefully she takes it to heart. I think she will. I think she's good-hearted. I think she's what Austin needs.
Yes.
Yeah.
But I told her, I said, you have to be what the people in your district want. They don't want somebody so far right or somebody so far left, because most of the people that live in your district are right here.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they want. They want you to come take care of listen to their problems and not discount if they're on this side of the aisle or if they're on this side of the aisle. They don't want you to discount it. Right now, the people on this side of the aisle are being discounted by the guy that's representing them. And that's horrible.
Yeah.
But here's the problem. The guy that represented them before discounted the people on this side of the aisle. And that's why he's not representing them anymore. And that's why this guy that's in there now, I think, is going to get beat.
Mm.
Well put. Well,
And
thank
that's the
you
start.
so
The-
much
the
again.
cancerous Kassar, guys. By the way, the cancerous Kassar, he's the one that's got to go. So either one
Cancerous
of you guys
Kassar.
live in that district?
No, that's too far north. We're in South Austin.
I just moved south. Yeah.
Oh, well, I'm a North Austin guy. When I get south of the river, I start twitching.
I live in Henry area.
Oh, okay.
I don't know where I live. I just, but
Ballpark area, and I'll tell you.
I know I live what is it, southwest by the Best Buy, Serrano's
Oh.
Best Buy.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you live in Sunset Valley.
Yeah, Sunset Valley.
I guess
But
so.
if you're in the city, you're in David's sector.
Yeah.
That's my name, David. So I guess I am in my sector. You
David.
damn right. You damn right.
Anyway, guys, appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot
Dennis,
for letting
you
me
are
come
the
on.
man,
Anytime
man.
you
Dennis,
want me,
we'll
I'm-
see you
I'm
next time.
disposable.
We'll call you if
All
we
right,
have any
bud.
questions about the law, man.
The
We love you.
audience is going
All right,
crazy for
no
you
problem.
right now.
You guys have a good night. Thank you,
sir.
guys.
Bye.
Appreciate
Good
you.
night.
Bye-bye.
Boy, what an interview,
Dang.
which lasted us
That
what,
was supposed to
an
be 30
hour and
minutes.
45 minutes,
That was-
almost 2 hours.
That was supposed to be 30
Yeah, I
minutes.
told him, I was like, if you can give us just 30 minutes.
Yeah, here's the thing,
2
too.
hours later.
I
No,
wrote-
I love it.
Dude, I wrote like 3 pages worth of stuff that I was going to try to go into about, like racism. That what they're fighting for right now is not racism.
Exactly.
They're fighting for power, because if they cared about racism, they would be more upset about all the white people. Now, like, here's the thing. We hear a lot about how there's a lot of white people that are dying. More white people die, unarmed white people die than black people.
Yep.
But I'm not happy about that.
Nope.
I'm just as angry about that as I am about the black people. The thing is, they're only angry about the black people.
Yeah.
That's racist.
Yes.
Because you don't care about the white people. I care about white people, black people, brown people, yellow people,
All of
purple
them.
people.
Yep.
And you don't fool me when you try to pull this bullshit that we're fighting for racism. No, you're fighting for bullshit.
Well, and even then, right? So again, going back to that encounter that I had with those Black Lives Matter people, and so the girl, and I'll get the footage for you guys, and we'll play it next week or whenever. But the girl had a sign that said "enough," and all these black people had died names on them, like Eric Garner and all these guys. And I was like, okay, are all these like black men who died this and that? She was like, yeah, injustice and all this bullshit. And I said, the statistic of them being alive as a baby over them being alive as a man right now is way less. All of them would have probably been dead right now as a black child.
I know your
aborted.
argument with abortion.
But
and
hold on.
everything.
But what I'm saying and what I told her was what we're arguing right now is murder. What murder is good and what murder is bad. And that's just what I wanted to break down
But
the
they
argument.
they
too.
don't look at it as murder.
Exactly.
That's the thing.
Well, and that was a cool thing she did. Like she and you could, like I said, I'll get to the video, but you could see in her eyes like this kind of snap of like, oh snap! I didn't think about it that way, and that's because I also believe that people who are protesting for Black Lives Matter are probably not protesting for Black Lives Matter. It's probably their friend told them, "Hey, I'm going to go protest for this," and they're like, "Cool, I want to stand up for something." You know what I mean?
Yeah, look at what Black Lives Matter actually stands for. I get it, Black Lives Matter, but they're like for free Palestine, which is against Jewish people. Like that's another race that you're hating against. Now I think they've actually taken that down from their website, but that's what BLM is about. They're about fighting cisgender misogyny and bullshit like that. But anyways, we don't have any more time to deal with this. I got to go to work in the morning.
I know.
And we'll be back next week, maybe with another interview because we're on a roll with interviews lately,
dude,
right?
I'm fucking loving all these people coming on. This is dope.
Well, it's better that way. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not just us fucking rambling on about our
True.
abortion thoughts and shit.
I like it. And I mean, this is just me as a debater. As a debater, I feel like that's one argument not many people have have been able to answer the question.
It's just a hard one because I've gone through this a lot with people, and you know, it all stems to, and I think I even like did you were talking about that on your Facebook, and I chimed in. I was like, the problem here is that we have an inherent difference about where life begins.
Exactly.
And that's just where the argument ends and starts and ends at there, because people will say life starts at this, and we go, no, life starts at here. Now, I have a different stance from, you know, the strict conservatives where conception. I don't believe conception. I think when does life end? When brainwaves stop. Brainwaves stop. Brainwaves begin around 4 weeks.
Yes.
Or same time a heart. Well, the heart actually goes on, but it's the heartbeat, Bill. Like 4 weeks, about a month, 6 weeks or so. That's when brainwaves start to develop. That's when I believe life begins.
And that's kind of what I want to break the argument down to. Like, I never go in this argument thinking to myself, I'm going to stump you with just the abortion thing. Like I said, for me, I'm always looking for a Trojan horse. And again, I'm a Christian, man. So for me,
I couldn't tell.
Right at the end of the day, I'm always looking at a way to preach the gospel to you and let you know that Jesus loves the shit out of you, and I love you, and I just want you to know that.
Was Jesus black?
No, he was an Israeli. He was Hebrew, right? So he wasn't black. He was
the
dark.
black Hebrew Israelites think that every important citizen in the world
darker than I was, probably. But I mean, he wasn't a black person. But even then, like, so even when it comes to the abortion argument,
dude, real quick, I've got a Last Supper that I found at in a thrift shop, but they're all black.
No way,
dude. They're all black, dude. It's so great.
I love it.
I bought it because I'm like, I've never seen a Last Supper where all the apostles.
So I'm assuming it's like James Brown and Chris Tucker.
No.
Oh, my bad.
The apostles.
Because you said all black. I'm just thinking of famous black people.
The apostles and Jesus are all black men, and I thought that was such a cool thing, and I bought it.
Does Jesus have a Jerry curl in this one?
And that's not that one, but it's very similar to that one. That looks like it's like all Obamas or something.
Dude, that does look like all Obamas.
Oh, it's that one, the second one. Yeah, that's the one I have.
No
that's
way.
the one I have, dude. That's the one I have. So I got that.
Damn,
I thought that was great. Anyways,
hair,
we got to go. Thank you guys for watching. For Brandon the Hardhead Mitchell, for David the Holy Hispanic Aguilar, I'm Low saying, that's right.